know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfield.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag and Underdog Fantasy. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA, college basketball, to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Although the NFL season is done, there's still many games to be played between college basketball, NBA, NHL, and WNBA. There's always time to embrace your inner underdog. All you got to do is predict higher or lower on multiple different player statistics. If you have yet to download the Underdog app, do so now and get free cash. Click the link in the description or use promo code ChiefConcerns, one word, to claim your free pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So let's continue to keep the good vibes going into the spring season. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Chief Concerns. I'm Marcus Dash here with legendary Chiefs tight end Jason Dunn. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Marcus? How you doing, brother? How you doing, man? You doing all right? Doing all right?
Doing great, man. It's just really cold in the DC area right now. I think it was about like 19 degrees today. I think the wind chill was like in the single digits, but other than that, I'm doing fantastic. We're gonna have I'm really excited about the guests we have on tonight and just the overall show that we're gonna have on tonight. But I'm just excited about our Wednesday night tonight. Let me just say that.
You know what? Wednesday nights is always good for us, man. We'd love to come in with open conversation. It's a little bit different because now it's off season, right? And so we're going to kind of switch our gears a little bit, kind of moving into the draft, the combine, talking about free agency, what guys are going to do. March is coming up really soon. We had all the games that everybody got finished doing, the East and West Shrine game, the Senior Bowl, all those different things. I coached out there in L.A. for the NFL when they had the Rookie Bowl, guys that was getting drafted the year before last, I think, was the draft that I did. I coached. Yep. So this is a really pivotal time for teams. As far as like where they're trying to look for going into the future. I mean, it really is. So for me and for us here at Chiefs Concerns, we want to be able to give you all a good picture, some opportunity, and some information and some knowledge of some things that's going on and how this whole process works. So if you will, first off, Marcus, let me say what's up to everybody that's in the chat. How about we do that, man?
Go for it, baby.
Foremost, man, I get so excited because you were talking about our guest who's ready to come on. I just want to go straight to him. But let's talk about all the girls and the gals who came in tonight, the guys and the gals. I'm sorry, fellas, but we'll talk about you. Witchy Hall, good to see you. Chief of 65 Point, Nana Sherry, appreciate it so much. Who else we got in here? Andrea Chenault, good to see you, Andrea. I'm the Brown. What's going on, my guy? Let me see who else we got in here. Joe E. What's up, Joe E? Is in the house. Good to talk to you tonight. Sasha's in here. Valorie Sanders as well. Don Peterson. How's it going, my guy? Greg Rose, Hearts and Roses. Valerie Sanders is here as well. So we're going to have a good talk tonight. Linda Hunter, how you doing, Linda? I kind of talk about it. It's just some of the people that's in the chat tonight. So finishing up. Okay, if you don't mind, if I will, Marcus, kind of introduce our guest that we're going to have. Listen, you might have seen where we showed on Twitter that we're going to bring in Mike Boyle. Okay. Now, I don't know if y'all know who Mike Boyle is or not. If you don't know, then you should know. All right. Mike is, how would I say it? Okay, hold on, let me just run this down. I'm kind of read it. Okay, Mike Boyle is a strength and conditioning expert, author, and lecturer. He founded the Mike Boyle Strength and Conditioning in 1996. He's known for his practical approach to training athletes and adults of all ages. He is one of the foremost experts in the fields of strength and conditioning and functional training and general fitness. So he does a lot. What else can I say about Mike? He's coached strength and conditioning for the Boston Bruins from 91 to 99. If you're hockey fans out here, Mike has been part of that for a long time. Strength and conditioning coach for Boston University for 15 years. Coach in strength and conditioning for the Boston Red Sox in 2013 and 2014, 2012, 2013, won a World Series with those guys. Let me see, man. Training philosopher, I said author, number of books. Man.
Did you mention the Godfather of the Combine?
Godfather of the Combine, when we talking about training guys, getting guys ready, Mike Boyle was the one that put this the draft, the diagram together on how to get guys ready for this big task, which is going to be a huge thing for these guys to change their lives. Okay. This is where the Combine goes to. This is how important it is. So Mike is going to be coming in to the chat, man. I cannot wait. I'll work with Mike Boyle coming out of Eastern Kentucky University. We're kind of talking about it. Small town kid in a small college, had a chance to go up here to Boston, flew up to Boston, cold as ever. It was during the winter time right before like this time. But Mike got me ready. Mike got me ready for the short time that we had, man. But we was able to connect a little bit, man. So let me introduce to you all. It is my pleasure, my honor to introduce the foremost expert, combine, training, and all of that. Can't get no better. He is the guy, Mr. Mike Boyle, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for hopping on.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you having him, Mike, man. I can't say enough good things about you, okay? The things that you've been able to do over the years. Like I said, when he talks about the foremost expert in strength and training, just getting guys together and ready, I don't think people understand how much of a big deal you are. And I know you worked with the USA Hockey before, soccer. You've done a number of things. I mean, it's just amazing, just your body of work and your legacy, what you've been able to do, my brother. And I just appreciate you for coming on our show tonight. You're going to give us some knowledge, man. We're going to spit a couple of questions to you, but I know you deliver. That's one thing you do, man. As a motivational speaker, when I watch you and talk to, the people that you train now, young kids, I'm like, guys need to understand this is how you do it. This is the right way of doing it. So thanks, Mike, man, for being here, brother. Appreciate it.
Like I said, thank you very much for having me. It was great to catch up with you. So that makes it worth it right there.
There you go. See, good person. Like I said, man, it just, coming out of Eastern Kentucky University. And so when I came up to you, Mike, we kind of discussed, now where the Chiefs got to the Super Bowl, was looking for a three-peat. And now we're talking about going to the draft. Okay. There's a number of holes, I would say, maybe a number, maybe I don't want to say a number because it's going to seem a lot, but there's a few holes that we need to definitely address. Okay. Some issues that we need to talk about. But one of them is going into the draft. Can I just ask you, if you're taking a guy from college, what will be your process into getting a guy ready and knowledgeable about the biggest day of his life, primarily? What do you say?
It's exactly what you said. One of the things and I probably had this conversation with you 29 years ago, in terms of this is a job interview, and everything that you do during this job interview matters. So obviously the testing matters, right? I mean, that's what the combine is really all about. They're going to look at the measurables. They're going to look at the 40-yard dash. They're going to look at your 10 time. They're going to look at your 20-yard shuttle time. They're going to look at all those things. But they're also going to watch the way you conduct yourself the entire time that you're there. They're going to watch the way you work in the individual drills. And that's the stuff that we used to really emphasize to the guys, is that all this stuff matters and that you're under the microscope every second that you're there, and every opportunity that you have to kind of say, yes, coach, what else you want me to do, coach, that kind of stuff. That stuff really matters. So that was, I think, a big emphasis for us. That we always were worried about the numbers, right? We know what the numbers needed to be by position. We knew what was great for each position. We knew what was good for each position. But we also wanted to worry about that sort of, it goes back to the old cliche of you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And when you go there, everybody that's anybody, I mean, there's owners there now. I mean, this thing has really changed in terms of head coaches are there, owners are there, coordinators there, everybody's there. And everybody's worried about making a mistake.
Yeah.
And the mistake, well, there's two mistakes, right? One mistake is you take a guy who's got great numbers who can't play football, which happens every year. Mm-hmm. But the bigger mistake, I think, is you take a guy with poor character. And I always say poor character plus multiple millions of dollars does not generally equal better character. So if you take a guy who maybe was a little bit of a problem child, and then you say, I think I'm going to give this guy $40 million and I'm going to hope that he becomes a better guy.
Yeah.
That's probably not happening.
Oh, no. Man, listen, I've going through the process. To me, it was so grueling, pressure of just trying, like you said, trying to do everything right, going in, and you're sitting there with all these teams, all the coaches, sometimes, like you said, the owners now because of how big it is, and they're watching you. They're answering every question. They're throwing everything to you. And so you got to do not just, like you said, I want to be able to impress you, with my knowledge, my intellect, and my character, but also too out there on the field when I'm doing the test, right? Yeah. Because sometimes what we see is you can build a guy up and they can look at something on film, but then all of a sudden a coach comes in, well, is he actually that fast? We keep looking at measurables, and sometimes colleges, we know how it works in college. They'll say a guy is 6'6", 315 pounds, look like a prima donna. All of a sudden you get him, he's 6'2", 275 pounds with rocks in his pockets. And you're like, oh, wait a minute, this ain't the guy that was advertised, right? And so.
Yeah, but I mean, and that's the beauty of the combine. I think some of the things about the combine I don't love because I think there's too much. Mm-hmm. And I think you could get away. I always look at it like if it's me, I'm looking at vertical jump and I'm looking at 10-yard dash and I'm not looking at a whole lot else because I can basically look at, and somebody did the numbers one time. It was actually Christian Okoye's year. They did the numbers, and basically there's a formula that you can do that basically takes your body weight in kilograms and your 10-yard dash time in meters per second. Mm-hmm. And that gives you, now they call it truck stick, but we used to call it sprint momentum factor. But it basically tells you how hard are you going to get hit by somebody, because the bigger that person is and the faster they move, mm-hmm. the harder they're going to hit you, right? So if I'm drafting, I'm just looking at that number and I'm saying, okay, if I want somebody at that position, I want that number to be the highest. That doesn't mean it's the heaviest guy. It doesn't mean it's the fastest guy. It means it's the combination of the fastest guy and the heaviest guy, because those two numbers together are what tells you kind of what the feeling of that collision is going to be. And all the other stuff, I mean, I guess I'd be worried about the injury stuff. Obviously, you want to make sure is this guy healthy, but I think sometimes there's too much emphasis put on too many different things. And it's really that basic thing. It's really rare to find a guy that can vertical jump and can run fast and that has the body weight that you want him to have at his position. If that guy can play football, which again that's the part, you got to watch film, right? You got to know, can he play football? But if he can, then that's your guy. But then, like you said, then you've got to factor in that character piece in terms of, okay, has this guy had problems off the field? Has he failed drug tests? Has he been arrested? It's complicated. It's a really significant process that these teams have to go through, because a first round mistake is multiple millions of dollars.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. And kind of what you said, there's a lot to go into it right now, and I'm right there with you as far as, does everything click, everything connect, and sometimes I think we can get hung up in some of the measurables way too much, right? I think sometimes when you look at guys and you look at prototypical, like was this guy, how's he measured out? Is he tall enough? Is his arms long enough? Does he have bigger hands? Right. And
Right.
so for me, it's the same thing. Like, I'm looking for explosion. I'm looking to see how fast you can generate power and whatnot in what you can do. So,
And that's what I think some of that stuff is overdone. I think they can get too caught up in the minutia of it, because again, you got to look at, like you said, you got to look at the guy in film and think, can he play? But I knew I had a really good predictability. When I met you, I was like, he's going to get drafted high. And I said this to Marcus: you did a standing backflip at 255 pounds at 6'6". I remember seeing it. I've only seen it. Only two men in my career have done that. You and Carl Crawford. Carl Crawford, probably the greatest athlete I've ever seen in my career. Full scholarship to UCLA, I believe, to play basketball. Full scholarship to Nebraska to play football, and signed with the Tampa Bay Rays out of high school for multiple millions of dollars. Carl could also do a standing backflip at about 6'2", 235. But I was just like, shit, that kid's he's going to get drafted high. Like when I looked at you, Marcellus Wiley, the same thing. I don't know if you remember. Marcellus might have been the year after
Marcellus, yeah.
Was he after you or before you? I can't remember what year. He might have been 97.
You're after me. Mm-hmm.
But Brad Blank had brought him in and he was kind of like, I'm not sure. We got a really good class. He goes, but I got this kid from Columbia that I'm thinking about signing. So we had kind of our typical sort of intro day. And part of intro day was just going through some of the stuff we're going to do from a training standpoint. And at that time, we were doing plyometrics, which was pretty progressive. People weren't doing that kind of stuff. And we had boxes in the weight room. And I remember I showed Marcellus box jump. And now Marcellus, I knew I'd weighed him. He weighed 265. I showed him a 30-inch box jump. I jumped up on the 30-inch box. I said, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this many sets of 5, whatever. I said, just try one. And he floated up onto the box. And I was like, oh, yeah. I said, can you wait here for a second? He's like, yeah. So he's sitting on the box, hanging out. I go walking into the office. I want to run, but I walk.
Yeah.
I look at Brad and I say, Brad, did you bring a contract with you? And he's like, no. He goes, everything's down the street, down in my office. I was like, get your ass out of my chair. Get in that freaking Jaguar of yours. Drive to your house. Come back. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, positive. I said, he just floated onto a 30-inch box at 265 pounds. I was like, he's an athlete. I have no idea. I haven't seen video. I have no idea what he can do. We can play. I said, but if you got him up here, if you're thinking he's a guy you want to sign, I'm telling you right now, sign him. And I was right. I mean, he went high and he made a ton of money.
Oh yeah. I used to go against him, man, when he was in San Diego. Who was what Marcellus was at? Of the Bills. So
San Diego. He was the biggest free agent contract of that year, jumping from the Bills to San Diego. We still stay in touch. I talk to him every now and then. He came back one year. He pulled the Rocky to train for his last year. He literally commuted back to Boston. He was like, I want to go back to the old gym. I want to train in Boston. And he flew cross country every day or every week. Like he went home to LA on Friday, and then he got on the red eye on Sunday night, and he came back and he trained.
Yeah. That dude, man. That dude. That's Marcellus.
But it was, but my point being, I don't think it's that hard to really pick out the athletes. And that's just me. Maybe I think I know too much, but a lot of times the same thing. Tristan Wirfs, one of my good friends, Chris Doyle, coached him at Iowa, was his strength coach. And I remember Chris sent me a video of him hang cleaning 4 or 5 for 5. And I was like, man, like that's like,
jeez.
That's like you can talk about what people say they can do in the weight room, but this was a video. Like I was like, nope, I know exactly how much weight that is. And he is manhandling 400 pounds. I'd never seen any human being in American football. I've only seen people like in Olympic weightlifting, but not in American football. And obviously, he's been a pretty good player.
Yes, he has. Absolutely, animal out there. I love his game. Just watching him. But you could see, and that translates over on the field. That's the thing about it. So those things, like you could be a gym rat or workout warrior and whatnot, and sometimes those things don't translate on the field as much, right? And I've seen that. I coached high school and college, and sometimes it was like, man, like you can do all this weight, you can do all this, but when it comes out on the field, you like a whole different animal, totally different person and
I would
stuff.
say to people, but hang clean and vertical jump translate on the field.
Oh yeah, all day.
Bench press don't always necessarily translate on the field. You can see some guys who are real good with slow, heavy strength stuff in the weight room. And those guys, I mean, everybody has that guy on their team, right? That was the best guy in the weight room at those lifts, but was not very good at football. But I never saw very many kids that could hang clean well and could vertical jump well that weren't good at football.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, kind of talking about one of our guys, Mike Mamula, Mumu. I played with him up in Philadelphia, and he was the first one that kind of came in and was like that workout guy for the combine. I mean, he had moved up. I don't know what Mike was projected first, but he ended up being the first round pick, man. What was Mike?
I think he was like projected like 4th, 5th round, I think, initially. But he was, I got a lot of credit for that. But the reality was he was one of the first guys that kind of came out as a junior eligible. It was unusual then that a guy would forego their last year of eligibility and go into the draft.
Yeah.
So nobody had numbers on him, or not a lot, usually, because sometimes they'd have like junior day, they'd come in and they'd get a 40 on you. But he was the same way. When I saw him, I was like, ooh, he's really fast and he's really explosive. And then we just did what we had always done in terms of, we were really good at teaching to the test. That was what we did better at that time than everybody else was doing, because we kind of knew, hey, we can milk a 10th on your 40. I just started working on your start. All we're going to do is work on your start. And I used to say to people, you didn't get any faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we made you better at the start. And suddenly that 4.6 guy was a 4.5 guy. And we were able to do that stuff. And even, vertical jump, the teaching guys physics and angles. We used to tell guys all the time, because guys with the old Vertec, guys wanted to see the Vertec. And I would always tell guys like, hey, this is geometry, right? You're jumping the long arm of this right triangle. Doesn't work. Get underneath the Vertec and cut the distance down. Jumping up at it because you want to be able to see it and try to hit it doesn't work. So we had a million tricks at that time. And now everybody, I think we invented the tricks, but eventually everybody adopted the tricks. Everybody started to realize, because again, that Mamula, that he ended up on the cover of Sports Illustrated that year.
Yeah.
Peter King wrote the article. And one of the things that I said to Peter King was that, hey, this is literally like someone giving you the SAT questions, and all you have to do is go back and memorize the answers. I mean, we go to the combine, we know the questions.
Yeah.
Why would we not? And you were up there, you came. We practiced the drills.
Absolutely.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day we practiced 20 shuttle, or every other. Like some days we were straight ahead and some days we were side to side, but we practiced vertical jump, we practiced broad jump, we practiced 10-yard start. We practiced all of the things. We practiced the L drill. And we were, it was like I said, it was like going to the Arthur Murray School of Dance. I mean, we were, it was all footwork. Like it's, we do the 20-yard shuttle, and I tell everybody it's 12 steps. If you do more than 12 steps, you did it wrong.
Did it wrong. Yeah.
And the guys, because I always say to guys, and you can't do it wrong in 13, because it always takes 2 more steps. So if you don't get 12, it takes 14. And I'd always have the guys, I'd tell them to run and place as fast as they can. I'd say, run and place as fast as you can. I said, and I'm going to time you for 12 steps. I said, now I want you to do 14 faster than that. And the guy would look and go like, I can't do that. I'm like, exactly. You can't do 14 steps faster than you can do 12. So if we're going to win this drill, quote unquote, we're going to win it because we did 12 steps. We didn't do 2 extra steps. And, again, we just drilled it. We drilled. It's football practice, right? What do? You drill.
That's right. That's right. Well, and this is really, it's the difference between, millions of dollars being drafted, high draft pick or low draft pick, because of some of the things, like you said, some of the tests that guys have to perform out there. One of the guys, and you kind of talk about, and I said this, I didn't know that you had trained Swanee. Eric Swan. Eric Swan was probably one of the most premier defensive ends, D tackle. I think he was right around that kind of thing. Kind of remind me a lot of Chris Jones that we have here with Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, when I'm talking about big, fast, strong, athletic, Swanee was probably one of the hardest guys I ever had to block. People ask me time, like, man, who do you have a hard time blocking? Him, Swanee. He was one of the guys. When I came, you had to bring your hard hat and lunch pail the entire time. But freak athlete, man. Like I said, probably one of the premier defensive end, defensive tackles of the day. A lot of people just probably didn't know about, And I know you said he might have had like a little bit of, some injuries here and there in his career. But amazing guy, man. Amazing.
Oh, yeah. He was unreal. I told you the story off camera one before we started, but his agent at that time called me and said, I got this kid who didn't go to college, and I got him playing in a semi-pro league up here, and he's 6'4", and he's 300 pounds, and he can run a 4.8. And I was like, no, bullshit. I was like, no, there's no way. And so we met for breakfast at an IHOP on outside of Boston, and they used to have the scales at IHOP, and I just was like, hey, Eric, man, jump on the scale. I want to see how much you weigh. And I was thinking he weighed maybe he was 275, and he hops on, he's 295, and I was like, okay, he's 295. I said, and I had seen tape of him running, and I thought he definitely can run. Now, I don't know, again, can he run a 4.8? I don't know. But then we started going out and playing around because we did a lot of stuff then. And again, we were very progressive. We were projecting 10-yard splits into 40s. Like if you remember when you were there, we never ran 40. No. We never ran over 20 ever before the combine. I had guys, and guys they would get nervous. And I'm like, I'm telling you, if I can show you your 20 time and I can tell you your 40 time, and every time we were right. Because we knew what the acceleration pattern was going to look like. And we just were, I was always super risk averse because the last thing you needed was a guy pulling a hamstring a month before the NFL combine. So we just weren't messing with 40s, but we did lots of 10-yard starts. And I started timing him in the 10s and going back. And I had numbers. I was looking at numbers and thinking, well, shit, he projects out. He projects out as definitely a sub-5 guy.
Yeah. And
I think he went to the combine. And I think he ran like, again, it was a little variable, but I think he did run some 4.8s, like 4.89s, 4.88s. But that was at that time. Now he was, we had been feeding him, and he was over 300. I don't remember what he was at the draft, but he was clearly over 300, and he went 8th overall that year.
4.8.
We had a pretty good run. We had 8 into probably 95, and then I think we had 8 in 97 when Mamula went. So we had a bunch of first and seconds in those years.
Man, look, you miles ahead of everybody, and pretty much in this field. You really, really were. And it kind of take this. I'm kind of shift gears a little bit. For the simple fact of, we were talking about kind of injuries a little bit, right? And we have a guy named Rashid Rice, okay, who ended up getting hurt for us during the year. We actually had 3 guys that came. Well, 2 guys came off of ACL injuries that we got in free agency. One was DJ Humphries, who we don't quite know if he came back too early or not. And then we had one that didn't get to play in the Super Bowl against San Francisco 49ers and Charles Omenihu. So he came back this year. A little bit, it's kind of one of those things, you know how it is, like with injuries, you don't know with the ACL, how are you responding to everything, the treatment, the strength training, how does your explosion look? And so Rashid Rice actually had an LCL injury and what was a hamstring as well, Marcus?
Yeah, he had a torn LCL, so he had to get he had to get a repaired LCL and also a hamstring tendon injury within that LCL injury.
Yeah, I think for us, because the question is, with this young guy like this, will he be able to bounce back with the type of speed and whatnot that he had before this injury? Right. I think it's one of those things like when you think about things like this, does a strength training and stuff, how does that work?
100% yes, if they do it. I'll get on my soapbox a little bit here, though.
Okay.
I know why the average NFL career length is 3 years. because these guys do not do nearly enough work in the offseason. It is amazing how, and the Players Association has not helped the players by decreasing the time, by decreasing the OTAs, by decreasing the time they can spend with the strength coach.
Yeah.
They've upped the injury numbers. The players have more autonomy, but the players don't exercise the autonomy.
Right.
They don't. So I got Pat Frymuth trains with us now, who's a pretty good tight end too. And but he's back in the gym already working out. That's unusual. I find these NFL guys now are not as diligent as they need to be about training, and they're not doing the things that they need to do. They're not with good coaches. They're not in good programs. They're not doing the stuff that they need to do. You see way too much gimmicky stuff out there with guys, and in general, you just don't see enough guys doing enough training. I would look at it and say, because my son 2 years ago tore his ACL and came back, and I knew the numbers. His vertical jump was higher. His 10-yard dash time was faster when he came back to play the next year, because we had those numbers from before. So I know you can do it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, are guys willing to put in the time? And what I have seen is you've got too many young millionaires who think they're going to be young millionaires forever.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, the standard joke, right? What does NFL stand for?
Not for long.
Long, right? But the reason it's not for long is because guys stop working.
Yeah.
And if you talk to any NFL strength coach, they will tell you that. Guys, they start looking around and thinking, I don't really have to do that much to stay here. And then in the blink of an eye, they're out of there. And it's too late. Like if I was one of the same, it's like the combine idea, right? If I was one of these guys, if I hadn't got my second contract yet, I'd be taking 1 week off, and then I'd be saying, who's the best strength coach in my area? And I would be finding that guy, and I would be training like, someone's coming to steal my lunch money tomorrow.
That's right.
And I got to make sure. But guys don't do it. That's why I saw in the chat someone asked about, about Patrick Mahomes and Bobby Stroop.
Yeah. What do you think?
Bobby's training or not like Bobby? I like Bobby's training. Bobby's a really smart guy. I know Bobby. But whether you like it or not like it, the guy's committed to it. He does it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can look at that and say, maybe I agree with this, maybe I don't agree with that, whatever that is. But the point is, he's got his guy that he's had since high school, who's a top level coach, really smart guy, and he's back at it. And that to me is the differentiating factor with a lot of these guys. Is I had a guy, and this was a baseball guy, but I had a baseball guy one time. I asked him where he was training when I started working for the Red Sox, and he was in Houston area. And he said, well, actually, I train at the place where my wife trains because it's near my house. Legitimate answer. I said, you are pitching in Major League Baseball, and you are training at the gym that your wife trains at because it's near your house. And he kind of got a little sheepish. He was like, yeah, that doesn't sound real good. And I'm like, no, that does not sound real good. I connected this guy with a local Houston guy that I knew who specialized in baseball. The next year, the guy was in the Major League Baseball All-Star game. Not a lie. But, I mean, the training really matters. It's not enough to say, I go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, every schmuck in America goes to the gym, right?
Right.
They're not all playing in the NFL.
Right.
And when you look at it, and that's why, again, I won't say I'm a LeBron fan, but I love the way LeBron invests in himself. I love the way he spends the money to take care of his body. Curry spends the money, in basketball. There's these guys. You've got to be willing to put, it's like anything. You have to reinvest to continue to make money, right? You don't just keep getting money given to you. You got to look at some of that money and say, okay, I've got to reinvest this money. And reinvesting that money, you are right. When you played, you were the asset.
Right. Yeah.
You have one singular responsibility for the asset. Take care of that asset and continue to cause that asset to produce income.
Yeah.
Guys just don't do it. They don't approach it that way. And the PA doesn't help them, and the agents don't help them. Like, again, if I was an agent, I would be demanding my guy, hey, where are you going? First thing, when I went to work for the Red Sox, first thing I said is, I called every guy, where do you train?
Yeah.
I want to know where you're training, who you're training with. and because I want to know geographically where you are, and if guys, I tried to find, okay, who's the best guy in the area that I can connect them with, so that I know at least if I don't have this guy under my control, then I know he's someplace good with somebody who's going to take good care of him.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that was long soliloquy there.
No, listen, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Because you saying this, I have a lot of things in my mind. Just really, I want to talk about and kind of address a little bit. Obviously with some of the guys on the team. But I always say this little running joke. People laugh at me when I'm sitting there like, man, you got a guy. He's sitting on the couch eating Cheetos. He got Cheetos on his chest. He ain't been doing anything. He ain't been doing work. And one of the things I did was I worked into my contract to have an off-season workout with the team. And so I would always get a workout bonus because I just stayed with the team. It was just much easier to just do it that way, as opposed like you're saying, like, hey, I'm going to go down here to Texas. Well, how long are you going to Texas for? Well, I'm going down here to California to go work out. Well, I'm going to Florida. And so what you see is some guys go and they feel like they've done enough work. I've been there 1 week or 2 weeks. And I've done enough. I've arrived. Now I'm going to sit back and I'm going to get on jet skis and do all the other things I probably shouldn't be doing with my money. And I could not understand, especially now, the type of money guys are making.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm a huge, oh my gosh, I just drew a blank. In the NBA, bigger guy, played at Duke. So Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Zion, I'm sitting there saying, how is you're not paying somebody to smack a cheeseburger out of your hand?
Bro, seriously, but I look at that and think, why is that guy not at our door saying, please help me?
Right. Right.
But we can't get local guys to train anymore. It's crazy. Some of the best athletes I have are women who are playing professional hockey, playing professional lacrosse, whatever it is. And they show up every day because they want to be great. And then you got some of these NFL guys who, like you said, I had guys, I want to go to Miami. I want to go to LA. I want to go. And it's like, hey, you can vacation when you're done with all the money you made.
Right. Come on.
But you're going to play. But again, I blame this a lot of times on the system, because nobody looks at these guys and said, do you know what your income curve looks like? Your income curve looks like this.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
In terms of, you're going to have this period of amazing earning, and then next thing you know, it's going to be zero. You want to drag that line as long as you can, as kind of on that just 45, where you just keep making a little bit more money. And they took away that workout bonus. You can't do that anymore. They don't allow. That's not, in the Players Association, you can't. They limit the time. They limit the time that you can be at the facility. So you almost now have to find a guy. But you got to do, like I said, I have a lot of respect. I don't know Patrick Mahomes from Adam, but I do know Bobby that he works with. But I mean, that's his hometown.
Yeah.
Like, that's where he's from. Like, he goes back to where he's from in Texas, and he trains with the guy he's been training with for a long time, and they train hard and they train serious. And it's unconventional. I will say that it is unconventional, but the way the kid plays the game is unconventional, right? And he does shit like that nobody's ever done in a football game before. So I kind of look at it and think, hey, maybe more people should be paying more attention to Bobby and not. And
that's right.
Right. Like, looking, and again, is it the perfect intersection? Maybe, yeah. Genetics, obviously, the dad was a Major League Baseball player, that, all that stuff plays into it. But there is one of my favorite books is a book called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And one of the things that he talks about in the book, he calls about the slight edge principle. The slight edge principle number 1 is show up.
That's right, man.
Slight edge principle number 2 is show up consistently, right? Don't just show up once. Don't just show up twice. You got to show up. Like, if I say it's 8 weeks of workouts, well, that means I want to see you 32 times, not 22, not 12, whatever it is. If 8 weeks of workouts, 4 days a week, 32 times, I want to see you. And then he says that principle 3 is show up with a great attitude. So it's literally like, show up, keep showing up, show up with a great attitude. If you do that, I mean, again, if you have the ability to be in the NFL, and then you just show up, like, just go to somebody and say, hey, I'm here, tell me what to do. find your local Mike Boyle and come in and say, I'm here. Tell me what I need to do. And the harder part now is there's a million clowns too.
Oh,
And
yeah,
like me,
yes.
there's a lot of frauds. There's a lot of people that aren't good at it. So you got to do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
But your strength coach knows, right? People know you can. It's
Yeah.
not that hard to ask around and say, okay, if find me the best guy wherever, wherever we are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm in Fairfax, Virginia. Who do I, if you told me to find that guy by tomorrow, I'd be able to tell you where to go. Say,
Right.
Mark, here's where you go. Just go. You just throw yourself at the mercy of the court. Like, okay, I'm here. What do I got to do?
Oh.
And then do it. It's not complicated.
I actually might need that. My girlfriend's trying to get back into doing like marathoning and whatnot. Back in September, she was doing the limbo. Gets a bony Liz Frank fracture. In the process, dislocates her knee at the same time. So she's still like on the path to recovery. They say by the end of March she should be back to baseline, is what they're saying. But she signed up for the Marine Corps Marathon in October. She doesn't know right now if she'll be able to get the proper training in for the marathon back in October. So
I'd tell her with a Liz Frank fracture, sign up for a bike race.
A bike race?
Those two things, foot fractures and marathons, don't go together.
Oh man, no, not at all. Man, so man, it kind of goes into. I was talking about those guys before. Rashid Rice, if he's putting in the work and the effort and the time, he can do it. He can get back, like you said, no problem, and still have no. Okay.
I mean, unless there's really some mitigating circumstance, something in that knee that really didn't get well repaired. But yes, they should, again, if they are willing to invest the time and the money and the energy. I've spent my whole career with people said we're all done. Oh, this guy will never play again. And almost every one of them played again. So if someone's going to show up and do the work, there are what was his name? Remember Robert Edwards? That beach volleyball. But that was like one of those. I remember looking at that thinking he may never play again. With that kind of knee injury, where he tore his ACL, his PCL, his MCL, like he tore every ligament you had in your knee. He tore it. I'm like, you probably don't come back from that. But the average, ACL now is getting to be like Tommy John in baseball in terms of the rehab is so good, and so many people have done it so many times that they can do that over and over again now.
Yeah. He has a very compelling story, man. We coached together when I was telling in the Rookie Bowl a couple of years ago. Robert was with me on the staff, man, and he got up and he spoke to the kids, and you could hear a pin drop talking about that story. He's like, look, and he was, when I'm talking about a hell of a player, he was a hell of a player.
Oh, yeah.
And I played in that Rookie Bowl too the year before that, before Robert went out there, where he got hurt. So in 1 or 2 years, but it's one of those things, like you said, like you just can't get prepared for things like that, right? Now the technology, like you said, now the rehab and all those things are a little bit different from back then. Now it's so much better. Guys are able to get back faster than what they are. And you were absolutely right, Mike. There's no reason why guys shouldn't take advantage of the opportunity he has. And what I've seen this year, and I'm gonna be a little critical here, okay? Because you can tell when guys are putting in work. You can tell when they come into camp. You can tell how they're playing on the football field, how much work you are actually putting in to get better. And so there are some guys, we're going to be talking about this a little bit later, about some of our tackles that we had, young guys, that I felt like wasn't necessarily strong enough. Their base, their explosion, their hand placement, as far as the push, like all those things, like the strike and the power, like you could see it. You could visibly see things like moving a body, having to move a body somewhere, a man, to move him a different place against his will. There's a skill set into that, okay? And a lot of it takes a lot of hard work just to be able to do that. I think some of our young guys didn't quite understand it. Hopefully they get that now. But I agree with you. I think there needs to be a lot more done at least maybe NFLPA could talk to them. But you're talking about grown men to make their own decisions. They have complete autonomy over their own selves. What do you do, right? I mean, these guys got to get it. They have to.
Exactly. But there has to be an influence in their life that says to them, you're squandering. Like, that's my thing. You're squandering an opportunity. You can't, like, my thing is, it's Captain Obvious, right? It's 3 years in the league. That's the average.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason it's 3 is because some guys play 10, which means there's some guys that play 1. Right?
That's right.
3 is the average.
Right.
So average means some are more and some are less. But
yeah,
you would like ideally, like I said, if you probably can get to the second contract, you more than likely are set for life.
Right.
If you can sign that second deal. And I mean, how you can not be just a dog working like a crazy person thinking, at least I got to get to the second deal.
Yeah.
Maybe you can think, I get to the second deal, I can take my foot off the gas a little bit here. But 3.5 years, most guys don't get past that rookie deal. And the reality is, you're going to have a lot of fun for a couple of years. You're going to have a shitload of money, and you're going to be able to go to Vegas and go to Miami and spend a lot of money, and then boom, you're going to smack into a brick wall at the end of 3 years and start trying to figure out. There aren't a whole lot of jobs for 24-year-old men that pay $1 million a year.
No, it's not.
No, you either got to be able to sing or because that's about it right there.
Yeah. And if that ain't incentive enough to get your butt up off the couch and do something to get prepared, I don't know what else can do it. I really can't. I really just don't know. Man, I tell you what, fun thing, okay, and I think you talked to Marcus about this. I didn't know that, but Marcus has a question. Mark, you were saying that you actually went to college with Spags and Tobe, those guys?
Yep.
That's right.
Spags and I were really good friends. Dave Tobe was only there 1 year. We were good friends the 1 year that he was there, but he transferred to UTEP after 1 year. But Spags and I were really good friends the whole time we were there.
All right.
I always say, like, a lot of my friends from college, people like that have since been successful. I don't know if I foresaw. I mean, he was a wide receiver, right? So he wasn't even a defensive player. And, did I think that he would become, an elite defensive coordinator, maybe the best defensive coordinator in the game?
Yeah.
But I had a lot of friends like that in college. I had guys that went on to become Division I head coaches that I never thought. My first year in basketball at BU, basketball now, our point guard was Brett Brown, who went on to coach the 76ers.
Yeah.
Our off guard was Sean Teague, whose two sons still play, I think, in the NBA.
Yeah, the Teague brothers. Yeah, played it here.
Yeah.
And Rick Pitino was the head coach.
That's right. That's right.
And he was gone before I used to play pickup basketball with him, but I never actually worked with him because he left. But then John Kuster, who ended up coaching, I think coached the Pistons, coached a couple of NBA teams. He was our assistant coach who became the head coach at that time. So, Spags, all these guys, like, I always say that one of the things I tell people now is that you never know who you're with at any point in time and where they may end up. Like, it's really funny. I sit and I watch Super Bowl and my friends are like, "You know that guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know him really well. I drank a lot of beers with that kid in college." You know what I mean? Like, we had a lot of fun. And here I am watching him coaching in the Super Bowl, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. I mean, even we've had guys, BU guys that have coached in the Super Bowl, and you see a lot in 44 years.
Oh yeah. The thing Spags, great guy. We always talk to Spags. And of course, when I played at Philly, Kansas City, going against his guys and stuff, man, me and Spags know each other. He was up there in New York or whatnot, me hitting heads with Strahan and those dudes. So every time I see Spags, man, I always give him a big old hug. It's like, "Yo, Spags, man, how you doing?" Last time I seen him, I was out at the Chiefs game, and he was talking to me in a minute. We were talking. He said, "Man, both of y'all guys need to be out here on the field playing." I'm like, "Nah,
Yeah,
the young guys there."
tell him that I said hello, but
Yeah.
Pat Sperduto still scouts down there. Do you guys know Pat? He's Pat Sperduto. He's a scout for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think it'll.
Yeah, he and I used to work together a million years ago in Boston. He's a Boston guy.
Okay.
And Mike Bergonzi's a Boston kid. Used to train with us. He actually worked out with us at the facility.
Wow.
When he was Everett kid. So there's a lot of lots of small crossovers as you go along.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you have any funny spag stories from way back in the day that you can tell on the air?
No, he would not want me to tell any stories on the air, and I will keep his confidence. I would just say he was a great guy. I loved him in college. I had a really he was just a good person. He really was. I think we all had our crazy moments, but he was a good solid guy.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
No question about it. No question about it. All right, man. Look, Mike. I tell you what, man. This right here, this moment has been an absolute joy for me. I really, like you said, 44 years that we talked when we hit each other up. I'm like, I can't believe it's been 30 years, almost 30 years from the time I got in the league to where it is now. And it's just one of those things. It's always those feel-good moments when you're able to catch up with people that you haven't seen in quite some time, but also, too, just to thank you, and I just want to thank you for the time, man, that you gave to me, to just put into me, to get me to where I needed to get me to. I always say this, man, success is never something that is conjured just in a vacuum. It takes a lot of different people to be a part of that, and you was part of my journey that taught me a lot about just kind of getting into the NFL, what to kind of almost expect, getting some more of that information, man. But I just want to tell you, man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man. And I love you for that. I do.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure. You had a really nice run, so it's nice, and it's just great to see you're still in it.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. Look, we had to bring you back for a different time as well.
Anytime. You got my info. Next time you want me to come on, just hit me up, and we will do this again.
Absolutely. Listen, my father-in-law is a huge Mike Boyle fan. Okay. So I don't know if he came on here tonight and stuff, man, but I told him about it. So I know he's gonna be like, oh my gosh, Mike Boyle. Like he's so he runs a gym of fitness out there in Blue Springs, Missouri. And so, like I said, I told him about it, man. I know he's gonna be tickled to death about it. So but Mike, man, like I said, man, appreciate it for coming up, man, and catching up with you, man. Seriously,
Right,
and everybody
thank
in here.
you guys very much. And I'll talk to you, Mark. It's nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you, Mike. Thanks a lot for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right.
That was awesome.
Oh man, dude.
I mean, talking to him, because obviously I read his bio and all that stuff before he came on. But like just talking to him, sometimes it's always cool when you see someone's bio and they say they got out of the combine and the training for it, and then when you talk to him, this guy's got a World Series ring. When you talk to him, he's like a normal guy, just like one of us. And it's cool. It's cool.
It felt to me like I reverted back to that college kid all over again with Mike. Really,
That's cool.
It's
That's really
just
cool.
kind of how it was. With Mike, man, you can just tell he's just an amazing man in himself. Gracious with his time and who he is. Man, solid guy all the way around. So we want to get Mike back on here again. Just kind of discussing on it. But, man, that was just some great information. Just talking about how the whole process goes through the combine. Then we had a question about Rashid Rice. How's his injury going to be? Because in the back of my mind, I'm worried about that. I'm worried, look, I've had knee injuries, and my my left knee, I've had a meniscus tear, PCL tear, MCL tear, bone on bone. Part of it was I didn't have the same amount range of motion. Okay, a little hindered. And when I came out, I tell you, man, I was running a 4.5. Running a 4.5. Like Mike told you, I can't wait to show this to my boys. I did a backflip right there in front of him. Yeah, he was just, you know.
I was going to ask, did you do gymnastics, or was that just a natural thing you could do a backflip? I mean, what is the deal with that?
Yeah, it was just a natural thing. I learned how to do a standing, backflip. Now I'm talking about, this ain't heads on the ground. I'm talking about in the air backflip, like,
That's that's insane. When he told me that before you got on, when I was talking to him before we started, he told me that story. I was like, "Whoa, really?" I was like, "Wow." I mean, like, geez.
Look, I was a freak athlete, Marcus. Hey, freak athlete.
We've all seen the photos of you, JD. We've seen the Zeus photos of you. We know, looking like a Greek god out there back in the day. Still do. Sir.
That's good stuff, man. I wrote that book down. I got to look at Slight Edge. I got to check that out.
Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Yeah, I wrote that down.
Yeah, okay. Good stuff, man.
Susan, the country backflip.
Yeah, country backflip. That's right.
That's awesome. Yeah, we definitely have to have him. And I love the kind of the 6 degrees of like the Chiefs, right? He went to school with Spags and Dave Tobe. Obviously, he couldn't tell stories. They were college kids, so obviously he wasn't gonna be able to tell some of the stories from their times back in the day. But really cool that he was. And I didn't know Spags was a receiver. That's fantastic.
I neither. Like you said, who would have known that? Who was a receiver in college, and all of a sudden he becomes the
best
greatest
DC of all time.
Right. That's amazing just to see people's journeys, really. And so that is awesome. That's an awesome story, brother. That's an awesome story.
That's really cool.
G-Pick said, JD, bust out a backflip. We know you can do it now. I know you got enough room in the dungeon. I tell you what, I try to do a backflip in here, knock and destroy everything over, and I'm going to have to yell for my sweetie to come get me. Sweetie!
We don't want that.
Well, yeah. We don't see that. Yeah. I try to stay upright now, G-Pick. I try to stay upright, brother. That's what I try to do. So.
Yeah, Susan says you better not.
Oh, yeah. No. Babe, don't worry about it.
That's cool, though. That's cool. Yeah, and the next time you see Spags, you got to mention the Mike Boyle connection.
Oh, my God.
Actually, that would be kind of a cool episode, a reunion episode, because he was telling me they haven't talked in quite some time. So a reunion episode, Mike Boyle and Steve Spagnuolo, the old college friends. That'd be pretty cool to have them both on the show.
Oh yeah. So the combine's next week starts on Monday. Next Monday, I'm actually we'll try to get up there next week sometime.
You're gonna go out to Indianapolis?
Yeah, I'm gonna get up there maybe for a day.
How far is that from you?
About 3 hours, 2.5.
Oh wow, that's close. I didn't realize it was that close.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. Shoot, right up the road, man. Right up the road. I've flown out of Indianapolis, that airport, tons of times. So
wow, okay. Well, I didn't realize it was that close to where you were at.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Yeah, I know. Barbershop's going to be there.
Shop's going to be there. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of different guys there, man. I'm going to be running into a lot of the coaches and stuff. So I'm gonna, if I run to Spags, I'll make sure I'm gonna let him know and tell him.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So we are going to transition now to some of the latest news that's going on out there in the Chiefs world. And like every offseason, there's a lot going on, and we're starting out with a bang as far as just news that's kind of like going all over the place with our Chiefs. So we'll begin with our biggest acquisition last offseason was Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown, big offseason acquisition last year. Poised to have a big year. We saw all the videos from Texas. He was supposed to dominate, but ended up getting hurt in the first play of preseason, which took him out for all but 5 games this year, where he tallied 14 catches for 141 yards. And recently, actually, this is last week, so Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported that the Chiefs, I actually have the whole thing right here. Hold on, so let me pull it up. So this is from Jeremy Fowler. Reported the Chiefs very much want to keep receiver Hollywood Brown, who should have a good market due to teams' desire for speed options on the outside, which is something you said before. Mahomes has advocated for signing Brown last year and will likely do so again. Will another star quarterback like Josh Allen be next? People with the Chiefs I spoke to this week believe that Allen has long wanted to play with Hollywood Brown. So last year, the Chiefs signed Hollywood Brown to a 1-year deal, $7 million, but it could be up to $11 million with the incentives. Obviously, didn't reach the incentives because he was hurt all year. But JD, when you kind of putting yourself in Hollywood Brown's shoes and just in kind of both shoes, right? You play in the NFL, so you can kind of see the thing here, right? So you can see either what it's like to be with the Chiefs, right? He's been in the organization for a year, but there's potential of Josh Allen trying to lure you. Obviously, money's going to talk at the end of the day, but where do you see and what do you make of this whole apparent interest by the Buffalo Bills with Hollywood Brown?
I believe they're serious about it. And it makes a lot of sense, to be honest with you. I think part of the problem that Josh Allen had to deal with was he didn't really have a reliable receiver that he could throw the ball to. Their guys were relying on, obviously, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. But then all of a sudden, Coleman didn't really work out as their number one. Curtis Samuel came in, did a little bit. He started coming on toward the end. Shakur was the one that he was throwing to more than anybody else. And then Amari Cooper, has gotten a little bit longer in their tooth. So Hollywood Brown, to them, makes a lot of sense, right? And so if you do that, you can let some other guys go and let him be your deep route, your deep runner. And so I think that's what he was missing. I wondered about that with Josh Allen, and he leave Davis and Diggs both leave, and now all of a sudden he's supposed to try to make something happen in the wide receiver room. So free agency, they got Curtis Samuels, didn't quite work out like he wanted, but he did a little bit. But I think that's what they were really desiring, of having a guy like a legit receiver as Hollywood Brown. And so I think it is something serious, right? You're looking at also this is a team that is a contender for the AFC. We understand that. That's one of our biggest rivals. So why not go ahead and try to capture one of our biggest assets? We don't know if we're going to be able to re-sign him this past year. Does Hollywood Brown go chase a check? So it just makes sense to me for them to try to pursue Hollywood Brown. Why not?
So my big thing is, and I've seen a lot of people say this, that, oh yeah, Hollywood's going to chase the bag, but the biggest question mark for Hollywood Brown going into last offseason, which is the reason why we kind of got him at that 1 year, $7 million deal worth $11 million with incentives, was because of the injury history that he had, the foot, the ankle, different things, just kind of a culmination of stuff over the years. And then he came off a 51 catch for 574 yards season with 4 touchdowns with Arizona his last year there, and he missed a few games. Mm-hmm. And we were able to get him at that number, the 1 year, $7 million with $11 million in incentives. So it's like, how is he going to break? And I get, you talked about it even in their report, speed, speed, teams will pay a premium for speed.
Absolutely.
But we're coming off a year where he didn't really do much. I mean, the injury problems, different types of injury, but that still carried over with him, even with this 1 year deal. Obviously, freak. We know the sternoclavicular thing is a very freak injury that happened. But the injuries did continue, right? So it's like, I don't see him getting much more than that deal that he got last year. I mean, do you disagree?
I think teams project what guys are able to do. And they know that this was like an anomaly as far as like the clavicle thing. And so for them, they just like, hey, look, we wanted to see if he was going to be able to be healthy. So it wasn't up with his legs, which was, some of his injuries he's had in the past. But they know he's a talented receiver. We know he's a talented receiver. And so it's almost like we can't be discouraged because what we're trying to use, to sign him for a team-friendly deal. Teams are sitting there saying, like, look, we believe that you already have it. We believe that you can be, healthy enough that you don't have to keep doing team-friendly deals. Let's go ahead and get you for a longer-term deal at a place that you can help us out right now. And so what we do is we want to bank on, part of the negotiation of, well, you kind of got hurt and it was kind of a wait and see. Well, you just got paid money and didn't really get to play. That's unfortunate. Happens in the NFL. You can't control those things. But it was kind of like a 1 year prove it deal. Well, he didn't hardly have a chance to really prove it. And when he got back, Marcus, we utilized for one game and all of a sudden we went away from him. And I get Xavier Worthy was, we high on the hog for him. But Hollywood Brown was here too. We should have utilized him the last few games. Try to make sure, we was going to try to be able to keep him around. So, yeah. Do we get a healthy Hollywood Brown? Does Hollywood Brown want to sign a team-friendly deal? What are we going to try to get him for now? Are we going to lowball him? Let's just talk about negotiations here. And let's just be honest. If the Chiefs could get him for a deal, they're going to try to. But Hollywood Brown is sitting there saying, look, this is still my career. I gotta do what's best for me. And if somebody's willing to put some dollars and ducats in my pocket, I got to go for it. I'm sorry. I have to, especially if it's a contender or a team that has a chance and opportunity to make it to, a Super Bowl. You still always had to go through the Chiefs, especially in the AFC. But now to get a legitimate guy, if they decide to pursue him or something like that. So we can't be mad. It was like, well, he didn't really play for us. And, we're going to try to hit you for a team-friendly deal. He's got to do what's in his best interest, man. That's how it works. That's how it works.
What do you say because I'm seeing a lot of this online where people, because I think on our Twitter account, we talked about from last week, you said your top 5 guys you want to bring back. Hollywood Brown was one of them. I think, and I had a bunch of people, everyone commented, say their top 5 guys, which was a great tweet. Everyone was kind of weighing in with their 5 guys. And most people had Hollywood Brown. And I saw a couple people commenting saying, we don't need Hollywood. We have Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice coming back. We talked about this when we did have both of them, right? And some people saying at the time when we drafted Worthy, was like, oh, that's duplicative of 2 guys who do the same thing. It's like, not really. Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, while they're both fast guys, they're not the same kind of receiver. They're different. And I know stature-wise, very similar, right? But as far as what they do, very different kind of guy. And having both of them, we were excited about the fact that we could have both of them. And now next year, people are saying, oh, we don't need him. We have Rice and Worthy. Well, Rice coming off an injury. Rice may be suspended for the car thing from last year. Right. Justin Watson's a free agent. DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent. We do have Xavier Worthy. Sky Moore, I don't know what's going to happen with him, right? But like Juju, free agent. So that receiver room, much like the D-line room, is kind of bare, and it's just right off. Say we don't need Hollywood. Blah. So then it's like, okay, then we go back to where we were 2 years ago, where we didn't really have any weapons in the receiver room. I do think for people to write off Hollywood and say, nah, we don't need him. Obviously, Pat's a big fan of him. We all thought he was going to be a wide receiver 1 last year, based on the way they're working with each other in Texas. So to write it off Hollywood and say, nah, we don't need him, Buffalo can have him. It's like, no, I'm not there with you. And also, too, as far as for people saying like he needs to get paid less than what he got last year, I don't think that. I honestly say you give him the same exact deal that you gave him this past year.
You could do that. I mean, you really can. But Buffalo's, they putting their homework in as well. And so they're going to make it hard for him. They're going to come in and they'll definitely try to negotiate, try to get him at a better deal, or at least give him something that will make him leave from the Chiefs. That because it's the same thing like Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek, we couldn't really sign him for what he wanted. And then when he was going to sign, he was like, hey, he was going to take the team-friendly deal. Miami comes in and say, we're going to give you what you want. We're going to drop you a little bit more money in your pocket. Let's see how you feel about that. Not only that, but also, too, you can help us win and beat the Chiefs if you're really that guy. So then, this is what, he has to contemplate in his head, Hollywood Brown. I seen what Richie says, he wants to win a ring. He knows his best shot at winning a ring is with the Chiefs. Well, if you're in the AFC Championship game and it was with the Chiefs, so you still have a legitimate shot, a legitimate contender. We're not talking about Jacksonville here. We're talking about, Buffalo Bills. And if they're sitting there and they can convince him, you are the missing piece that we need, okay, to beat the Chiefs to get over top, we're going to pay you for that. He'll definitely entertain it. He will, unless he's just so much happier here with the Chiefs. And maybe the Chiefs do right by him. Maybe they do right. But one thing we cannot do, we cannot go in lowballing in markets, and it's not going to work. I'm telling you, it's not going to work. And the thing is, we're going to lose on a few guys because we just don't have the room to pay them. And it's like, hey, man, you ain't got the money. Hey, sorry for you.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like if last year your whole idea of signing him with Brett Veach and Hollywood Brown, come here for a 1-year deal, see how it works, $11 million with incentives, we'll sign you a long-term deal if it works out. he never really got to play. And I do want to ask you this based on you talked about how we kind of went away from him. Looking at his snap counts the last 2 games, so AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. So he played AFC Championship game. He had 67% of the snap counts, so 34 snaps, and then 43 snaps in the Super Bowl, 65% of the snap count. Now, and compare that to Worthy, who had 82% in both games as far as snap count wise. Hopkins, for 31% and then 18% in the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. So that's a different story altogether, which is crazy to me, which still doesn't make any sense to me. It goes along with the whole idea of the playbook not really making any sense or the way they were calling the game. But do you think the injury, we talked about injuries tonight, but do you think his sternoclavicular injury was something that maybe played a part as to why they didn't play him as much as we thought?
I mean, I didn't hear anything about it. I don't think it did, to be honest with you. I think they were legitimately trying to get him involved a little bit because, like I said, it was like some deeper pass routes, some things he was kind of running, some wrap routes and whatnot, but we just weren't able to get the ball to him. Should he have been more of a priority? Sure. Why not? If we got a guy that can run, who could absolutely take the top off the defense, utilize it. That's what you need to do. And so kind of going back to like you were talking about, Joe, passing game coordinator, being somewhat scared, like, hey, man, look, we got Hollywood Brown, we got Xavier Worthy, we got these guys out here. We got to throw the ball to them. Let's give them a chance. Let's give them opportunity. Okay? If everything's at his disposal to use it. Use it. So this is what it's going to be, man.
I will say, if you do look at the stats, I kind of did. It was pretty much the same thing, right? So Hollywood only played in 5 games with us, and Cooper played in 10 games with them. Hollywood averaged like 0.2 more receptions per game. So it was like 2.6 for Amari Cooper, the amount of receptions he had, and then 2.8 for Hollywood. 2.8% receptions per game if you kind of did the math on it. Yards wise, Cooper had a little bit more if you averaged it out per game. So very. That's, like if you could say, oh yeah, like he had 5 games, he had 10 games. So like, it's not like you're getting utilized that much more. And I will say Buffalo, for Josh Allen, did win the MVP, but Buffalo's offense was kind of, it wasn't like our explosive offenses back in the day, like, a couple of years ago when Mahomes won the MVP. We were going out throwing 400 yards, 300 yards every game. Bigger numbers there. Whereas Buffalo was kind of more of a spread it out kind of like thing, with Shakir, Mac Hollins, Cooper, Samuel, Kincaid, Knox, a lot of different weapons over there. So it's I think it's kind of similar to what we did this past year.
I'd agree. So he'll be able to fit right there in that scheme. You got a younger guy instead of like with a Cooper, you got a younger guy in Brown. So, and we seen what he was able to do during the offseason. He worked hard. He's a hard worker. He's a guy that understands the game. Like you said, Pat took to him, immediately. I think both those guys like that relationship. Did it really come to fruition? No, because of the injury. And then, of course, toward the end of the season, you just wanted to see more. They left him wanting more from Hollywood Brown. Now, I'm not saying that this thing is over. This is just kind of rumors until something like the deal gets done and whatnot. We don't know where it's going to lead us. But when you have a guy like that with that type of talent, just for me, you got to utilize it. I get peppering the ball around, but then there's certain guys that like we got to feed the ball to these dudes, right? And so if you do have a Worthy, Rice comes back, how that's going to work with suspension and everything else, and then you have a Hollywood Brown. So we don't quite know what it's going to be with Travis Kelce. That's in the air. We don't quite know what it's going to go with that. So yeah, I don't.
To me, you sign Hollywood Brown, you're set at receiver. You have Hollywood, you have Worthy, and you have Rice. That's it. The questions, I think Nana might have said, someone said earlier, the questions that we've talked about. Yeah, Valerie Sanders said, we can finally have a season where conversation isn't around wide receiver. Exactly. You do that, you're set because you know what Worthy can do. You know what Rice can do when he's back from his suspension when they do lay that down. And then you have Hollywood Brown, you're set. you're set there. And then Kelsey comes back and you have Noah Gray, you're set in your pass catching weapons.
At least for 2 years, 2 to 3 years, you set for
Yep.
that. Okay, knowing what you're going into training camp, what you will have for the season, and that's a beautiful thing to hang your hat on. It is. It's a huge thing. Question goes into: do we have the cap space and the money to do it? What about all the other hosts we have around on the team? That's the question. That's something they have to go work out, brother. That's it.
He just got to earn his money this this offseason.
Yeah.
Interesting comment from Mike. I was thinking about this as we were talking about the snap counts for Hollywood and D-Hop, but Mike Brandon reads our mind like usual. It's hard for my brain to comprehend that we don't run the ball enough, and we also didn't get the ball to our playmaker wide receivers enough. Forget about getting the ball to them. We barely saw D-Hop on the field, and then I read that Hollywood's only getting like 60% of the snaps. I mean, I don't understand what was going on in this playoffs. Like, do not get it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Stu said, with a name like Hollywood, you need to keep him. It's not his name, man. It's his talent as well. So, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Like you gotta use them. You got to, man. Come on. Like I said, what good is it to have Lamborghinis and Maseratis and all type of in your garage and not even using them? So. Yeah.
So before we move on to the next topic, Hollywood Brown, I know he was your top 5 guy last week, but reading all this, you still maintain that we need to bring him back?
Hollywood Brown? Yeah, we can afford it. We can afford it. Yeah. Because then all of a sudden, if you don't address that then you might have to go to the draft. Because if you go in, he was like, okay, we got Worthy, we got Rasheed Rice. Do we trust the young guys in, Justin Ross, right? We had to keep bringing his name up. And,
I wouldn't mind Justin Ross as wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. I wouldn't mind that at all. But yeah, Hollywood, hopefully Mahomes sees that Josh Allen's going to try to recruit him, and hopefully the competitive edge that Mahomes has is like, nah, I'm gonna make sure he stays. And like I think I brought up on Monday, if you look at the Super Bowl, when the games in the end we're about to lose, Hollywood goes up to Mahomes and says, it's been great playing with you. I'm lucky to call you my quarterback or whatever. And Mahomes says, we'll be back here next year. Don't worry. We'll be back. We'll be back here next year. So we will be back here next year. So hopefully that is a sign of them inking up a deal, hopefully.
Hey, man, I hear you. Hey, I'm right there with it. But
money talks.
Yeah. Hey, Pat. Guess what? We're going to restructure that deal. I know you want nice things. I get it. You want nice things. Well, guess what? You're going to have to pay for nice things too. So are you willing to do it? And look, I'm sure Pat would do a team-friendly deal to get certain guys here that he needs. So it wouldn't just be wide receiver. It'd be, probably tackle and all other things too.
Yeah.
So.
And that puts us on our next topic perfectly, JD. So this week, the NFL tag window opened up, and it closes on March 4th. But with pretty much 3 weeks till the window closing, it was already reported right away by the Athletics' Nate Taylor that the Chiefs are not expected to use a tag on either Trey Smith or Nick Bolton. And then today also the NFL had informed teams that the 2025 salary cap will be roughly $277.5 million to $281.5 million, which is that's an increase of either around $22 to $26 million from last year. So big increase from last year to this year. And then you can thank the popularity of the game. You can thank Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce for advancing the game to that extent. But JD, when you hear that the Chiefs right away, the tag window opens and we say, nope, we're not tagging Trey Smith or Nick Bolton. I've seen a couple things on this. Some people are saying that's a good thing. That means Brett Veach is already hammering out a long-term deal with Nick Bolton and Trey Smith. They feel like they're in a good moment to kind of get a long-term deal without using the tag. And some people are already saying it's kind of a pessimistic view, saying, yep, that means we're moving on from them. It's done, that Trey Smith and Nick Bolton will not be coming back. So where do you stand on this when you see that a team kind of right away rules out a tag on 2 premier players that are going to be hidden free agency? What does that mean to you? Are you on the optimistic side of that, or are you on the pessimistic side of that?
I don't know if you could keep both. I want to be optimistic, but I'm a realist as well. So I don't think you could play both of them. You can restructure some deals on the line to make some things happen, but Trey Smith that's going to be the hard one. Bolton's going to be pretty hard, but I think his might be a little bit more doable than Trey's. And then you start thinking about, okay, who do we have, right, in those positions that can play that if neither one of those guys are here? I think Trey's might be a little bit easier than it is with Nick Bolton. I don't see anybody replacing Bolton that way for a long term. Trey Smith, we've seen, King Suma go to guard. I think Wanye Morris is another guy that could probably play guard. We have Norzad is there that can play guard. That'll be a much easier kind of plug and play. It may not be Trey Smith wise. We don't know that yet. But those guys can do it. King Suma came in and played guard. He did a pretty damn decent job. So for me, I think that's the look of it. Trey, if everything is always as it says being said, Trey's probably gonna get paid. I mean, it's gonna be hard to turn down money unless the Chiefs going butt his bread. So
yeah.
So I think that's the reason.
All reports indicate that Trey Smith is looking to reset the guard market so far. I mean, he hasn't said that himself, but that's all the insiders are saying. And also, if we were to tag him, that would put us in a really rough spot because that means we'd be on the hook for, $25 million as far as –
Yeah, you can't do that. Can't do that.
And that would hamstring us for the offseason. We wouldn't be able to do many moves at that point if we allow the 25 right up front to Trey Smith. So that's also a strategic reason as to why they wouldn't do that for him. Doesn't necessarily mean they're not working on a long-term deal with him, but that does mean that they did not want to pay $25 million up front with Trey Smith. And I do agree with you. If you look at our last drafts, guys, I mean, we've expended a lot of resources and allocations to the offensive line, drafting guys who could play multiple positions, like you mentioned, Norzad, like you mentioned, King Suma. And as far as linebacker-wise, really haven't expended a lot in that area, right? I mean, Willie Gay's gone. Leo Chanel is still there. We paid for Drew Tranquil to keep him around. So it's like, yeah, we have guys, right? We have the Cam Joneses of the world, the Sways Bosemans of the world, the Cochrans of the world. I mean, those guys, they're solid fill-in guys and solid special teams guys. They aren't green dot linebackers. So I do agree with you in that respect. They may, and also too, middle linebackers not going to be demanding as much money as your guard is going to be demanding as far as numbers wise.
And we have a good one. We have a good one. We know that. Yeah, it's what all year when the trolls was coming up. Oh, he's not. Oh, Nick Bolton. Every time something happened, he, maybe got beat on something and whatnot. I said, man, you go back and look at the film. You look at the dudes that's making plays. You look at the one who's leading tackler for the season and whatnot. Nick Bolton's that guy. He's that guy for us. He's the one that's out there making plays. Does he do everything perfect? Nobody does. Nobody does. But he's a damn good one. I like him. I think he's elite for what we do, what our scheme. He's a tackling machine. That's what you want from your linebacker. You want a guy that is smart, can put guys in a position to make plays. He is the leader. He is a leader. And so when you start weighing things out of guys you want to keep and, who can you do without, man, I don't know if you're going to be able to get a guy like that here that knows your scheme and whatnot for, you know what I mean? For that amount of time and money.
And not to knock Trey Smith, because Trey Smith's been amazing for us, and I give credit to Brett Veach in this respect, right? Trey Smith's a 6th-round pick. A lot of people, the teams passed on him. The medical red flags, the blood clots. We drafted him. He started day one. Nick Algrady gets a big deal with the Commanders. That was a 7th-round pick by Brett Veach. I mean, Brett Veach has done a great job as finding guards. It's been pretty easy for us to find guards, and just the guys in the late rounds. And I was looking today that Trey Smith, his big thing is run blocking. He's a mauler in the run game.
Yeah.
What's something that we do a lot of? We don't really run the ball that much. His pass protection, as far as pressure rate, I know we do drop back maybe I think top 5 in the league, but his pass pressure rate was amongst one of the worst in the league as far as guards go.
Yeah.
And you've made comments to the likes of that over the year. Obviously, we love what he's done for us, especially where we got him in the 6th round and what he's getting paid. I mean, amazing, and that now he's going to get paid, top 3 money now. But like, if you want to get a guy here, if they did want to spend money on a guard, not for the likes of what Trey Smith's going to get, but there's Zach Martin's going to be available. There's Brandon Scherf. If you didn't want to go in-house, which I think we are going to go in-house, but there's guys out there who can fill in that role, who are more suited for our offense as far as the pass blocking scheme, right? Yeah. And I think Trey Smith, he's more suited to a team that wants to kind of run the ball 30 times a game, and that's not us.
No, and that's kind of a shame. And so if he's hearing, and everybody else is hearing, that he has a chance and opportunity to set the market, shoot, why wouldn't he take it? Why wouldn't he take it? Especially we just don't have the capital to do it. But like you say, and go to your point, yeah, you want to be a road grader. You're gonna have somebody in the back, man, that's going to run the ball, and some of the things that you do. I said that, Marcus. I kept saying it, and I was kind of like, just kind of watch what I'm saying. I'm like, look, some things you need to work on. He's getting pushed back a lot. Some things that, he needs to get better at. But he's going to be, like I think, Geoff Schwartz was saying, he's the next guy up. He's the dude. So, I don't know, man. It's, loyalties and whatnot is always being tested because of money. And so, like I said, trying to sign a Trey Smith, man, is going to be that's. And here's the point. I sent you a couple of videos. I hope we play that. But you got a lot of money. We already got a lot of money on the offensive line, brother. There's a whole lot of money on the offensive line, right? Joe Tooney, Creed, Juwan Taylor. There's a whole lot of money there. Do you put another $25 million or whatever you're trying to sign on the line? You get limited. You gonna miss out on a whole lot of dudes. And I don't think the draft is that something you just can't do with the draft. So Bolton, I definitely want to keep for sure. I know you would say that. I definitely want to keep Bolton. I don't even know if we could be able to keep Reed. Reed's another guy that could be cap casualty. He's going to do something for team-friendly deal. We don't know. He got young guys behind him that's been playing really well. I like Reed a lot. I like his leadership, everything about it. But shoot, what do you do?
And Reed's still relatively young, and that's another thing too. Because you think the way he speaks, how long he's been around, he'd be like an older elder statesman. I think he's like 26 or like 27. He's really young still, which is crazy to me. The amount we've seen him play over the last few years, we just think he's like an older guy. But I mean, and that's another thing we talk about, the investment we've made to the offensive line. We've also made a big investment to the secondary, right? I mean, Cooks, Young, Chamari Connor, Jaden Hicks. I mean, we have made the kind of the preparation for the next evolution of our safety room after Justin Reed and the Deion Bushes of the world. And it seems that we have, Hicks is supposed to be this guy, the next up-and-coming guy. Cook's there, and also Chamari Connor. So it seems like we've kind of paved the way to saying bye to Justin Reed. We don't need to pay top dollar for a guy.
Yeah. I'm looking over here in the chat. Jerron Mitchell said, we can let Joe Tooney and Juwan walk next year. So, yes, we can keep Trey if we want it. How are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? Joe Tooney is worth every dime that he's been paid. Juwan Taylor, you can make an argument on it as far as how he's been performing. Is it worth the money he's getting? You restructure that deal, but how much are you actually getting back on that, Marcus? You know what I mean? So when you start playing musical chairs, especially in that position, tackles one of the hard things we're trying to find. We're trying to find one that plays left. And now we talking about right. We have at least on the interior, we do have somewhat of depth there. We do. We have depth, right? But Joe Tooney's not a guy I want to get rid of. I think Joe Tooney's a guy that would, it's like, hey man, I'll take a little bit less. I think Joe Tooney wanted to probably end his career here. I would think so. I don't know. Sure, I could be completely wrong. Joe Tooney might, man, screw that. He set the market. I want more. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, man.
Yeah, I believe Tooney restructured his deal last year to give us more money. So I mean, Tooney seems like a team player, and I mean, he's been, he's won it all. I mean, like, I think by the time he's done, man, he's gonna have like a lot of rings by the time he's done between his Patriots days and the Chiefs days. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I will say, as far as offensive line, we're gonna get into the offensive line stuff with the Geoff Schwartz comments in a little bit here, but very fascinating to see what's going on here. But so let me ask you, JD, who's gonna be who's getting the long-term deal? I think I can guess between Bolton and Trey Smith. Is it one of the two, or is it none? Would you say is it a higher chance of being one of the two or none of the two?
Higher chance it would be Bolton than it is Trey Smith. Higher, without a doubt. It just makes sense. Money-wise, it makes sense. Like you literally have, a tackling machine in Nick Bolton, who is as imperative to your defense and important that you could possibly have than anybody else. I would say that he's one of your top 4 priorities. 3, really. Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie, and Nick Bolton. That then you make an argument about everybody else around there. So,
yeah, I can see that. All right, so we're gonna get to Geoff Schwartz later as we end the show, but right now, Jay, we gotta go to our tight ends. A show talking about tight ends, you gotta do it, especially on this show. We always talk tight ends. We're gonna talk about something, a little rumor that's making the rounds here, JD, that a lot of Chief fans are pretty excited about. So, a local Atlanta radio host reported this last week. It's an apparent rumor, so we don't know. I haven't seen anybody legitimate besides an Atlanta radio guy talk about it, but. The report was Chiefs reached out to Falcons about Pitt's availability, a contingency plan for them if Kelsey does retire. Chiefs still believe Pitts has potential to be elite. JD, I remember when Pitts came out a couple of years ago, we talked about, has athleticism, hasn't really panned out for him in the NFL as far as, I will say, Desmond Ridder, Marcus Mariota, not the best quarterbacks, not Patrick Mahomes by any stretch of the imagination. But this year, Kirk Cousins was there. Drake London tore it up. Darnell Mooney tore it up. But Pitts didn't really tear it up either. Towards the end of the season, I think Penix and him had a little bit of a rapport. I will say that. But overall, he hasn't really been the guy that everybody thought he was going to be the best tight end of all time. A lot of the experts were saying he's going to change the game for tight ends. But what do you make of the potential of the Chiefs bringing him in as a contingency plan for Travis Kelce? And do you think Mahomes, Andy Reid could actually kind of make the legend that is Kyle Pitts, what we heard 3 years ago, potentially be a guy that a lot of people thought he was going to be?
I actually love that move. I actually love it. I think he's been underutilized down there in Atlanta. He's been wasting his talents away down there, really. And it's a shame because I was expecting everybody, oh, man, he's going to be this and that. And then all of a sudden, man, he's he hasn't lived up to the hype at all. Is that on him? Is that his fault? Or is it, like you said, all these, these slappies that was throwing the ball to him, right? Kirk Cousins come in, he's throwing the ball around. He had, Drake London, like you said, and Mooney, and, Pitts, he caught a few balls. But Kyle Pitts, man, if he got the talent, like we know he has talent, shoot, he need to be peppered some balls too. So it would be a contingency plan if there was something that Trav decided not to do. If he decided to retire, I think Travis comes back for another year. That's me. That's my feeling about it. I hope he does. And can you still get a Kyle Pitts? I'm not opposed to that whatsoever.
Ooh, I like what you're talking about. I was going to ask you, do you still, and you just brought it up yourself. So you think that this should be something they should be looking at anyways, even if Kelsey does come back?
Yeah, absolutely. I love Noah Gray. Noah Gray has he has a skill set that is particular to Noah Gray. Okay, and Noah is like the Swiss Army knife. He could go in and block. He can go catch balls out there. But you get a guy like Cal Pitts, man. You know, I don't know what Jared Wiley's going to be. I don't know. Okay, that's the question. All right, can he become that guy? Off his injury, I would love to think so. I would love to think so. Man, Cal Pitts, man, with his ability, his athletic ability, catching the football and stuff, man, why not? Now, okay, Marcus, okay, let's see, you got all these different scenarios. Now, you're going to let a guy like Hollywood Brown walk if that's the case. Him and Tribe both out there? And then Worthy and Rashid Rice? You can line these guys up out there with corners and safeties. You can line them up anywhere. And you let them jokers just attack. And if Trav is in it, now Trav could take a little bit more break. Now it's him, Noah Gray, and all these guys. So I'm not opposed to it at all. Yeah, and Domingo Spence, I'm like you can never have too many weapons. The only way you can have too many weapons is if you're not going to utilize it. That's the only problem. Don't let a guy like that come here and you don't utilize it. So I get, look, this is all speculation. I'm sure if they have reached out to him, that's what they're talking about. And I think they would still try to say, hey, man, can we still get something done? Right? Because what Cal Pitts, okay, so here's the question, man. What year is this for Cal Pitts?
Yeah, so this would be his final. It's a fifth-year option. So it's the final year of his rookie deal. It's a $10 million for the last year of his deal.
Well, see, now it changes things.
Unless Kelsey, what we talked about him restructuring, because Kelsey's worth $20 million this coming season, 19. If he restructures and then he goes, I'll come back for 10. Then you have two guys for the price of one with Kelsey and Kyle Pitts at the 10 each.
Well, we playing with Monopoly money over here, Marcus.
Hey, it's not our money; it's Clark Hunt's money.
I hear you, man. But hey, look, that sounds great. Sounds wonderful for the fans and whatnot. Them guys are like, hey, man, we ain't doing that. Shoot, man, we ain't. Come on, don't downplay us for 10 million. And look, if it's last year on this, he could do that. But let's say he has a great year. Man, it's just a lot of scenarios here. After a while, he might like, let me hit the market. Well, you're going to have to pay me, right? You was paying Travis Kelsey 20-something million. Well, 18, how much Travis is making? He might want to get that right now if he has a great year. It's like so many different scenarios and things. So I see Neff was talking about the tight end rim look good. Yeah, somewhat, but you could get more.
I will say, let's say in the scenario that you were talking about, Pitts does well and Kelsey's here. He plays well enough, right? And he goes to be a free agent. Kelsey, as we all think, this is his last year of his deal. A lot of people seem to think if he does come back to me, his retirement tour, if he does come back, right? It would be his last year. Kelsey comes off the books. So then you have a vacancy, that opening for Pitts to kind of just take over that Kelsey valve. And if you're saying if we bring in Pitts this year, so like you said, we don't need to bring back Hollywood because we have Pitts here now with Kelsey. Then that there is, there's not the existing potential $10 million Hollywood deal, 7 to 11 range. Then you have Pitts there. So I don't think it really. And also, this is also counting Kelsey taking some kind of a pay cut for his last year, or restructure.
And here's the thing: you could, if you're looking at it and you're saying, you get Kyle Pitts in this offense. I think somebody said that in here. Yeah, Barbershop said that. Kyle Pitts could definitely gel in this offense. If you give him the autonomy to be able to do some kind of run some routes to kind of get open, you never know what you're going to unlock with him. Really. Oh, man, I wish Like some offenses were to the point where you could do some of the things, kind of run the routes that you want to run. You just really don't have that luxury other places. You just don't. You just don't. You can run here, you can run over there, and then, don't fool the quarterback in it. But shoot, sometimes Kelsey is able to get open, and Pat teaches him, and he'll watch how Kelsey does it that year. What are you thinking on this? What's Pat thinking on this? Man, get them three together. Let them suckers talk.
Yeah,
and then,
talk about creativity of an offense. I mean, he's been with Art Smith pretty much his entire career. I mean, that's nowhere near nowhere near the level that we're on.
Yeah, that's Swiss cheese right there. Swiss cheese, baby. We want something else a little bit more delectable. You know what I mean? High class and things. So, hey, I like that idea of it. Can it work? So,
Chad, I didn't realize Chad was very anti Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts had opportunities in Atlanta and showed no upside. Pitts was even mostly in single coverage with good wide receivers with him.
Well, I like I said, I think it had something to do with the guys that's throwing the football to him. He had a much better year with legitimate quarterback throwing the ball, and he did more. What was his numbers? What was his numbers this year?
Let me see. Kyle Pitts. I knew I had him in fantasy in one league, and it wasn't. It didn't start out so hot. Let me put you that way. His numbers for the. You have his numbers?
Yeah, 47 for 602 yards. 47. He could double that up here in this offense easy. And I think if you give him, like I said, the ability to be able to kind of get open, run some of the bad routes, or not bad routes, running some of the, the routes and areas and stuff, he might be able to surprise you a little bit. I mean, that Joker wasn't the type of terror he was in college for no reason. He was smoking folks down there in Florida, smoking them. So, shoot.
Yeah, I think this is a very a sneaky move if this rumor happens to be true. I mean, I think this would be an amazing move, and based on what I've read as far as what comp would be to get a guy like that, it would probably take a 4th or 5th round pick to get Kyle Pitts. I mean, that's a steal. You're not getting Kyle Pitts in the 4th or 5th round. You're getting guys like Jared Wiley, who we don't know what's going to happen with him, right? But you get a guy like Kyle Pitts, who we have seen him have blow up years. I mean, his second year in the league, he didn't have like 1,000 yards. His first year, rookie year, 68 for 1,026 yards, 1 touchdown, but 68 for 1,000. I mean, that's a rookie.
Yards his rookie year. I didn't know that.
Jeez. It's been all downhill since then, but nonetheless, he did do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So Neff, you see, he said so he had 68 catches for 1,026 yards his rookie year. So, but that regression could be, like I said, for all the jokers throwing the ball to him. You get him in an offense like this with somebody can utilize you. And here's the thing, though, Marcus. Let's say this plays it out. Travis plays for another year. You have him here as well, right? Kyle Pitts. Utilize it. Travis decides to move on after we win the Super Bowl. You still have Kyle Pitts, Jared Wiley, and a Noah Gray here. So you still have weapons, right? So it's still the carryover. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I know we always talk about it. It's always big, great thing of saying, the heir apparent to Travis Kelce. We're not saying Kyle Pitts is going to be Travis Kelce, but if you want someone who can have the kind of moves and kind of the yak and the athleticism that Kelce did have in his yesteryear in the prime of Kelce, Kyle Pitts has that athleticism. I'm not saying he's going to match Travis Kelce's numbers or whatnot, but if you talk about a guy who can be more like that, then I've seen a lot of people say Noah Gray or Wiley can be the heir apparent to Travis Kelce based on their play. It's like they're different. They're just different. Athleticism-wise, Kyle Pitts is more on the level of Travis Kelce than who we have in the room as we speak.
I would say he's a better athlete than Travis Kelce.
100%.
Yeah. Joey said, is Kyle Pitts a good blocker? Yeah, he'll block. I've seen him block. He'll block. Now, as far as like putting him in the dirt beside tackle, he'll look like a 5-year-old getting into the stance. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. Yeah, Noah Gray is nice. I like Noah Gray a lot. And we had Noah here for a number of years. So that could be the perfect scenario. If you brought a Kyle Pitts in and he does, and you sign him for maybe a longer term deal, you still got Wiley, you still got Noah Gray, you still got that, man. So they look, what we're talking about is what they've been talking about. They've been thinking this for sure. So why not have an ace in your pocket? Why not?
And quite frankly, we're talking about we talk about the lack of utilization of Hollywood Brown, of D-Hop, right, towards the end of the season. Noah Gray was still getting utilized. He was still getting the snaps. We love giving our double tight end sets. We wouldn't have that problem with Kyle Pitts. He would get in there. He would get his playing time. And people want to talk about, Noah Gray deserves a shot. Well, when Kelsey does retire, that Kyle Pitts and Noah Gray's still in the same role that he's in.
Yeah.
So
I think you still need that guy, man, that's going to be able to block, kick some dudes and stuff out, man. And that's in money. Yeah, it's going to cost some money. But, we could work around that. That could be something that could be worked around. You could possibly see something like that, right? So,
yeah, I would love. I would love this. I 100% on board. I thought you were going to be hesitant on this one, JD. I'm happy you're on board with this one. This makes me feel better about me liking this deal or this potential.
Shoot. I think, hey, man, I've been kind of like, man, how come they're not getting the ball to Kyle Pitts like they should? I don't think it's his fault. It's his fault, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Desmond Ridder, his 1,000-yard season is still in the chat. That was Matt Ryan with him. So the one time he had a competent quarterback, he's 1,000-yard season there. So there you go. But yeah, when you have Desmond Ridder, Marcus Mariota throwing to you for most of your career with Art Smith calling plays, it's going to be kind of tough to do much. Not everyone's Tony Gonzalez who can post about 1,000 yards with whoever's calling plays and whoever's throwing the ball to him. So
yeah, when I'm sitting there, I'm looking at his, his games: 2 reception, 4, 1, 4, 1, 1, 4, 1, 4, 7, 3, 7, 0, 2, 3, 3. That's come on, man. Not for a first round pick like him. Not at all. They should be utilizing. I get they got Drake London. They got Darryl Mooney. I get that. But I'm sitting there. I'll be like, man, I'm going to Pitts. Be ready this week. We're going to throw the ball to you. Okay. They got B. John Robinson. Obviously, they got to feed the ball too. He got a lot of balls out the backfield. There's a lot of things there, man. A lot of things there.
And look, too, I mean, I know you were a big Jody Fortson fan. Mahomes' last MVP season, when Jody Fortson was utilized, and Jody Fortson's not a full-time tight end. He's a red zone threat. Kyle Pitts is a full-time tight end. I mean, he's very similar athleticism-wise to Jody Fortson and more athletic than Jody Fortson because he can run a 4.4. But, like, what we saw we could do with Jody Fortson in the red zone, imagine what you can do with Kyle Pitts all game long. I mean, and he get a field day with this.
Oh, yeah. Sasha says, Myles Garrett or Pitts. There's no way we're going to be able to sign Myles Garrett. No way. He's what's the name of money? That's Chris Jones money. And better and more. There ain't no way you're going to sign him.
Yeah. And contractually wise, it's not even, based on the 1 year with Kyle Pitts with $10 million, it's nowhere near what Myles Garrett's going to demand. And also we have to trade for him because we're looking at rounds 3 to 5 for Kyle Pitts. You're looking at round 1 and more for Myles Garrett. And we're not in a place to be trading round 1 first round picks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a weak tight end and a weak offensive tackle is a plan for disaster. No question. That for sure. So we'll have it all straight.
Yeah, I don't think trade for Kyle Pitts is going to hinder the left tackle plan there, Chef.
No.
It shouldn't.
Yeah. Trey Hendrickson. Oh, shoot, Trey's going to be wanting money too, man.
Oh, man, he's going to get paid a lot.
Yeah. Y'all naming some folks is out of our price range.
Yeah.
Love to have
people forget Kyle Pitts is still on a rookie deal, guys. So that it's not Kyle Pitts is not compared to some of these guys you're bringing up. It's not going to be close to what they're paying for, and that's what Veach likes to do. Veach likes to find guys who underperformed at first round picks. They're cost control guys, so you can go get them for that 1 year that he has left in his deal.
Yeah, you will and deal it.
The cost control guys, Veach loves those types. All right, so we have our final topic here. Our guy Geoff Schwartz, former Chiefs guard, took to Twitter this week to talk about the Chiefs' offensive line situation. We have videos that we'll play from Geoff earlier, but Geoff said his opinion on the Chiefs' offensive line situation. He said the Chiefs should ask Juwan Taylor to move to left tackle, stay Joe Toney at left guard, Creed at center, and right guard, you got Kingsley and Norsad vying for that, and then Wanya Morris at the right tackle spot. And then he kind of went in to talk about it with Price Carter on Twitter, is pretty much laying out that. So this one here, Price Carter said, please, God, don't let this be the plan. He said, what is the plan then? Everyone hates a plan but doesn't provide one of their own. Unless the Chiefs totally blow it up, they have Tooney, Taylor, and Creed back. They drafted Kingsley high. He has to play, and Morris' best play on the field has been at right tackle, which is very true. That's what he pretty much played in college. And he said, I think the Chiefs should draft a DT at 31 in a rich DT class, which look at JD's board behind him, guys. They should get a very good player here. They've invested draft picks at the O-line. Time for those guys to play, which is something that JD has said. He went on to say, Chiefs drafting another project tackle early in this draft after taking Kingsley last season is terrible drafting. They have more roster issues than just left tackle that need to be addressed in this draft. Price Carter didn't like him saying that. Then Schwartz says they've played Kingsley in 2 games, man, and Morris has started a handful of games. If you think using one of the 6 draft picks on another project tackle and not trying to develop the ones you have on the roster, that's just bad team development, dude. So JD, this kind of echoing what you say. I don't know if it's like a NFL player thing. Guys who've played in the trenches, they just know what they're talking about when it comes to this stuff. Obviously, you guys do. But what do you make of this? We'll play some of the clips from Schwartz where he expands on this. What do you make of his plan here, of his solution to the Chiefs O-line?
I'm gonna say first, good night to Hearts and Roses. Have a good night, Hearts and Roses. Appreciate you coming in. I like his plan. I like his plan. There's a lot that I agree with on it. The Taylor to left tackle is I'm not quite on board with. I'm not quite on board with that. Not saying he can't do it. I think it would take some time. And if he's had some struggles at right tackle, put him over left tackle, it's not going to make it any better. I think you get a guy that is his profession of being, that's what he's particular for. And so I'm still on board with DJ Humphries. I am. I still believe DJ Humphries, because here's the thing. Even if let's say you give Taylor some, let's say you move him over to left tackle. Okay. You sign DJ Humphries, not going to be a whole lot of money. Taylor can still go left tackle if it doesn't work out, right? You still have that scenario. But I would say DJ Humphries, to me, because he has played at a high level at that position, makes more sense. Man, I'd love to have a conversation, man, with Geoff. But I think we're kind of on the same page with everything else he was saying, as far as like you said, Kingsley, or Morris on that side of playing guards. They could definitely do that. You even got Morris, Wanya Morris can back up DJ Humphrey still on the left side. I think you really have to find that guy, that anchor, that for sure guy that's going to be able to play left tackle. If we got a for sure guy that could play right, I like Morris played right tackle, did a great job, but we got a for sure guy on Taylor that we're playing. I'd rather go for somebody that we can get at left tackle. And I don't believe the draft is the way to go. You could probably get a guy later on, but we would put money in those guys. And like we'll show over here, we made an investment, and it hasn't quite worked out for us. But I do like the scenario of having a DJ Humphries here, a guy that's played it at a high level, who's done a great job. And if you want to address it maybe in another draft the year after this, you can. These tackles in this draft are kind of so-so to me for what we see. And if you keep going, keep trying to go to the draft, trying to find the next best thing, next Trent Williams or Willie Rowe. I mean, it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. So I trust if we got a DJ Humphries, let him work out, get himself right, whole off season, like Mike Boyle was sitting there saying, you keep your thumb on him. Make sure DJ Humphries working out with a guy, put the money into it, get himself right. Shoot. He could come and end his career here. I'd love to have a DJ Humphries. If he's able to go ahead and get back from that ACL injury, love to have it. So low risk, high reward. I like that idea. Yeah, Demetrio, absolutely. So.
Yeah, and I do. The whole point of what he's trying to say here is also too. It's like people just want to move on to the next project, right? Like these guys, Kingsley played 2 games at left tackle, and like you want to go back and draft another tackle in late first in the second round. I mean, what's that really going to do? I mean, it's the same kind of thing. That guy's going to have an adjustment period, just like Kingsley did. And like he said, we only saw him in 2 games, so he never really got to see it. And obviously, they moved him to guard. But like we never got to see him actually to fully develop there.
And he can still be the guy. If he's getting the work and the strength and all that, the confidence, everything he needs, he may just need a whole offseason. It may take a year for a guy to develop, get used to the speed. He's been seeing the speed against the guys, the number ones, probably playing that position. So King Suma can still be that dude. But why not go ahead and sign the way that you signed, the way it was going to look for you? When you brought a dude like DJ Humphries in, okay? Because you still got guys that can back him up. They can still play that position. If you wanted to do that and have, Taylor go over to the left side every once in a while, check it out, you can still do that. You can do all those things. I think the right move is a DJ Humphries here, frees you up to where you don't have to worry about another guy. You know what I'm saying? Like you actually have depth there. And you actually have a guy that's played that position at a high level, who's been a Pro Bowler. So,
and like we said before, we've expended. He mentions it here. We've expended so many draft picks on the O-line over the last few years. It's like you're going to go back and doing it again. It's bad draft. It's horrible draft. I know everyone wants to blame it on Andy Heck, but you're going to go back to the draft to draft more tackles. What are we doing here? I don't understand. There is no plan if you're doing that.
You keep beating your head over the same thing, man. There's no plan, but they could do it. They might try to hit that lick. So, they're going to bring up names for tackles and whatnot, man. I think it's just a crapshoot to me. It's not a bigger crapshoot going after DJ Humphries, letting him get healthy and all that. It's not going to cost you a lot.
And I mean, there are guys out there in free agency wise. I mean, Cam Robinson, who played really well with Minnesota this year. I think he's only 27 years old. Those guys are going to cost money though. So, and again, fans don't want to spend money. So it's like, well, you don't want to draft another lineman in the early rounds. You don't want to spend money on one. Then what do you want here? I mean, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Let me queue up what Geoff Schwartz expanded on this in a video today. JD sent me the video for that. Let me put that up here.
Of the NFL. Tackle the end of second round, Kingsley Suamataia. Often tackle the end of the third round or middle third round, Wanya Morris. These guys have to play. That's National Football League. When you draft guys in the first 3 rounds, they have got to play. That's how you build championship teams, how you build championship rosters, and those players have to be coached up. Andy Heck's got to get it done. Andy Reid's got to get it done. You got to be coached up. And Kingsley last season played 2 games at left tackle. Very clearly not ready for National Football League. And the Chiefs said, you know what? We're going to pull you back. We'll put Morris in. We'll find other answers. And in any other year, when you're not chasing a three-peat, Kingsley probably plays the entire season. You suck it up. You go through the growing pains, and you make it happen. But in the specific season they had last year where they're trying to win a championship, they had to make a decision to say, look, man, we can't play this guy. Mahomes is going to get killed. We're trying to win a championship. But he's played 2 games, really 2.5. He played the final game of the season. But like 2 games in his career. You're not throwing that draft pick away for a veteran, in my opinion, right now. Kingsley has to play somewhere along the offensive line. They moved him inside to guard. Feels very likely that will be his position in the National Football League. They got to get something out of Kingsley. So he has to play. So now we have 4 guys. He's the answer at left tackle. Maybe this entire offseason, I'm wrong about it. The Chiefs wanted him guard. He goes through a full offseason, and boom, he's your left tackle. But to throw him away after just 2 starts in a championship quest, to me, is really bad roster management. You asked Jawan Taylor, who's been a right tackle most of his career, can you play left tackle? We don't know if Jawan Taylor can play left tackle or not. And the goal is getting your 5 best offensive linemen on the field. That's new way of thinking, right? It's about finding the 5 guys with the least amount of weakest links. Because if you have 1 weak link, they can attack that Super Bowl. We saw that. But they can put a tight end and running back to help. But you go to 2 weak links, you're kind of screwed. But Morris played well at right tackle. He played well at right tackle when he filled in for Jawan Taylor against Houston. That was his position in college. If that's Morris's best position and you use a 3rd-round pick on him, put him at right tackle and say, Jawan Taylor, can you play left tackle? Now, if Jawan Taylor says, I can't do it, not a chance, then yes, you have to find a left tackle solution. But if Taylor opens offseason program with the idea of let's put him at left tackle, Morris at right tackle, Kingsley or one of the guys they drafted last year right guard, Tootie and Creed, those guys you have on your roster. Again, I want to reiterate, would it be great if someone went to Kansas City? Yes. Let's say Cam Robinson, right? People have used him as an example. But other teams are going to want Cam Robinson too. And what are the Chiefs going to offer him? You have other holes on the roster, right? I talked about, I'll mention them again, right? So the pass rush was horrendous against the Eagles. Now, their offensive line is really good. We get that. They stopped the run really well, but you need someone to rush the passer. This is a great defensive tackle class. So follow that way for a second. Your middle linebacker most likely going to walk. I don't think the Chiefs are going to play Bolton. I'm not sure they're going to pay Reed, but you have Hicks and you have Cook. Like maybe that's a solution right there. So I don't buy the draft is the way to go here again. You drafted that guy last year. He's got to play. And again, to me, the pass rush. You need pass rush. Great defensive tackle class. Chris Jones is getting older. Get yourself a pass rusher at 31. And maybe you want to tackle it at 62, whatever, 61, whatever it's going to be, 63. I can't do math. But that's when you get that run. So let's start with the things that we know or think we know, okay? And then we'll build it out from there. One is that right guard Trey Smith is gone, okay? He's going to leave in free agency. I wish him the best of luck. I know Trey. He's a fantastic guy. Chiefs got a steal in the 6th round. He was a first-round talent. He's a 5-star kid out of Tennessee, plays a true freshman. Great football player, great guy. He's going to get paid the most money for a guard in NFL history. That's the way it works. He's the next man up, and the Chiefs are not paying him that. With the salary cap and the structures of contracts that they're going to redo some deals to get under the cap, I get that. It's all going to happen. But paying a 4th offensive lineman is bad business. It just is. And they cannot afford to pay Trey Smith. And they're going to let him walk. So $22, $23, $24 million a year for him. The franchise tag is about 25. There's reports today he's not going to be franchised. It makes no sense. No one's trading any assets for Trey Smith. Well, the Chiefs did it with Snead last season. Yes, different player, different position. Against the cap, one-time hit. It's not spread out over the years. And so Trey's gone. Tooney's back, Creed's back, and Taylor's back, okay? So that's the premise we have to work with. And the trouble that I have with talking about roster is I don't look ahead to free agency and say the Chiefs are getting so-and-so player. Of course, it would be great if, let's say, Cam Robinson was able to come to Kansas City or Jackson or someone else. But the truth is, guys, the Chiefs have other needs on the roster as well. They might lose a safety, a linebacker. They need another wide receiver possibly, maybe a tight end, maybe a running back. And they only have 6 draft picks. So they don't have a lot of room to work here to add the pieces.
I mean, like Barbershop says, you can't really disagree with a lot of the points here. I mean, outside Jawan Taylor playing left tackle, and he just merely suggesting they ask him to play left tackle. Yeah. I agree with him on everything here. And yeah, I mean, the premise of you know what you have in the room, right? You can't automatically think, oh, we're going to sign Cam Robinson, we're going to sign yada yada, whoever it is. You got to work with what you got, and currently those are who we have, the guys he's talking about from that structure. But I mean, what were your takeaways from that, JD?
I agree with it, and I told you where I did disagree was Jawan Taylor going to left tackle. So we wanted you wanted some type of contingency plan. DJ Humphries is that, and that's where I'm going with it. I've said that, but everything else we've talked and we discussed here, saying the exact same thing. Like I told you, the things we need, right? Talking about D-line, corners, defensive end, talking about running back, tight end, that could be covered with the Cal Pitts thing. So, what Jeff was talking about, we've said that here as well. So, we see the same thing. We see the exact same thing. There's some things that has to happen with Wanya Morris. Wanya Morris is one of the guys I was talking about to Mike Boyle about being serious about his strength and being a professional. And I'm sure, I don't know what Wanya Morris is doing, but I'm telling him, if he's hearing this, it don't even matter. Hey, man, you get you a trainer or somebody, man, you stay on top of your biz. And I guarantee Wanya Morris, he puts the time and effort and investment into what he's doing this offseason. He could be a monster in this league. Him and King Suma both. Like, both those guys got to get their work in, like, right now, immediately right now, okay? Because they could turn some things around. Man, sometimes it's on them. I know you was talking about, Andy Heck, those guys got to help development, but sometimes these guys got to help themselves. That's what it boils down to. And we seen before Jawan Taylor came here, he was working out heavy. Remember, we've seen him on the bags and hitting and stuff like that. Jawan Taylor got it. He understood. And guess what? He got paid. Other guys got to understand that too, man. Like, this is your livelihood, And like I said, I don't know what Wanya and those guys are doing, but I do recognize that some things he didn't do is get stronger, get stouter, things of that nature. They could do. And you'll see the results on it when you put that time and the effort and dedication in. So we got the guys in the room, I think. We have them. Shoot, we have them.
Yeah, I at least I think for the people who want, the brand, because I've seen people talk about getting Zach Martin or Brandon Scherf. At least we have the guys who can fill the Trey Smith void. Left tackle, I don't know. Right? Maybe DJ Humphries may be going to get one of the other veterans that were out there to spend money on left tackle. I don't know. But I know at the very least, I know we have in the room the guy who's going to replace Trey Smith in the room if we don't bring back Trey Smith. That's right. At very least, that's what I think we have. Left tackle, unknown to me. But at the very least, Trey Smith's replacement is in the room currently.
Yeah. I'm like Amanda Brown said, the trouble I have is Taylor has pre-snap issues and gets a lot of holding calls. Not sure him moving him to left would add to his. I agree with that 1,000%. That's the thing about it, because his stance is narrow on just on the right side, and that's the position he plays. So that's why he was able to get up underneath him and push him. Now he's got to get his body ready for left. Man, he's had those issues. That's a whole different task you ask him to do. Especially, like I said, if you have guys that that can do the things he needs to do. Like in a Humphries, or let's say Wanya gets stronger, or Sumaite gets stronger. So this offseason is pivotal for the Chiefs to get better in the direction that they're going. And they need to reiterate to those guys, you want to be here, you want to play, you want to start, you want to have a career here, you got to put in the work to get there. And whatever you need to do necessary to do that, it's on you. It's on you. So, and we got to trust it. We got to trust it, man. I think we got enough in the middle. We got beef and stuff like that in those guys in the interior. It's outside that we got to deal with. Bottom line, pure and simple. Pure and simple.
As far as the middle, what you have to deal with is the development, the furthering the development of the Kingsleys of the world, of the Norzaz of the world. That's what you got to deal with. As far as the outside, yeah. Next year, we'll have to figure out the right tackle spot. And I think we have Wanya in the house. Wanya can be the right tackle in the future if Juwan's cut next year. But for right now, Juwan is the right side guy. And then you have to figure out the left tackle spot. But as far as beef on the inside, just develop those guys because we have those guys in-house.
Yeah, and Mike Brennan said when we brought Taylor in at first, all the talk was he was going to be our left tackle. I don't know who was talking about this. We wasn't. I know I wasn't.
Well, we had an emergency podcast to talk about that because you were getting frustrated with the amount of people who were saying that he was going to play left tackle.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. He played right tackle. This is what we paid him for. We paid him for right tackle. And like Amder Brown brings up, and as we have seen, there's still been little struggles on right tackle, on the right side. So we want to add to the struggles, the difficulty. That don't seem like a good plan, Marcus. That don't seem like a good idea. You know, don't sound like a good idea. So I just, yeah, everybody was saying, like, who's saying bringing him in for left tackle? If that was what they needed to do at some point, man, shoot, yeah, let that at the very last instance. But you don't want to do that going in.
Do you remember when we signed Donovan Smith? There was people like saying, "Oh yeah, Donovan Smith's contingency plan if Juwan Taylor doesn't work out at left tackle." You were like, "No, Don Smith's going to play left tackle, guys."
Yo, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? So,
yeah, Mike says y'all were the only ones not saying it. It was a crazy time.
Yeah, well, we only ones knew what we was talking about too, Mike.
Yep.
So I think that's why you love us, buddy. I think that's why you love coming to us, man.
Exactly.
You make a lot of sense over here, Chief Concerns. Found like, if do say so myself. Okay?
That's what we do, baby.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, that brings us to the end of the podcast. A very action-packed episode. Mike was a fantastic guest. If you guys missed the Mike Boyle interview, definitely go back to the first 40 minutes of the show. Mike was awesome. And then we guys brought you up to speed with everything that's going on in the Chiefs world right now. But great episode, JD. Great. Another good one of the books.
Oh, man, it was wonderful, brother. We've been on here 2 hours, 11 minutes. We've been doing it. We've been doing it. But it was, man, I tell you what, we had such a good time. The time went by fast. It went by fast, man. Look, appreciate you ladies and gents coming in and hanging with us, talking this stuff. We had a really good time just entertaining and having these conversations. It's wonderful. But appreciate y'all sticking with us. Sasha, Mike Brennan, Don Peterson, About Time, good seeing you. About Time, Greg Rose, good seeing all of y'all. You know, I'm not just singling out to it. I'm good seeing all of you all. Neff, good seeing you. Like always, word. I'm going to call you right after this is over. Holler at you. Andrea, good seeing you. Chanel as well. Nana Sherry, thank you. Good seeing you. Valerie Sanders, good seeing you as well. Kevin, good seeing you, my brother. YB Negative came in. Good seeing you, YB Negative. Chiefs fan 211. Let me see. Sasha as well. Good seeing you. Kevin Mars. Good seeing you. Amder Brown. Good seeing you as well, my brother. See who else we got in here. Demetrio Spence. Good talking to you as well. Jerron Mitchell. Now, we did D-tackle on the first. I agree with you, Jerron. Definitely a D-tackle. Right there. D-Lo, you see that right there? We on the same page, baby. On the same page. Let's get somebody in there with Chris. Okay? Let me see. Greg Rose as well. Good seeing you, my guy. Stu. Good seeing you, Stu. Coming in. Stu came in blasted. Said we was complaining, Marcus. What Stu said we was complaining. We don't ever complain out here, man. We
don't complain.
No, we just talk, man. Yeah, good conversation. Lloyd Sanders, good seeing you as well. Let's see. Hearts and Roses out of here. Good seeing her. Witchy Hall, good seeing you. But yeah, man, it was a good time, man. It was a good time, you know, having these conversations. And look, the reality is this. Linda Hunter, good talk to seeing you. We don't know what the Chiefs are going to do. Okay. We can only speculate on here to find out. When I get over to, like I said, I'm going to go to, the combine, talk to some guys, see if they want to come on and talk about some of these things, man. And like, oh, Jada, I want to, but I was like, hey, man, we'll just have a conversation. We'll keep it easy. You know, we're going to back you into a corner, but we're going to ask you some good questions, something you can answer. I don't think those guys will do it. I don't think they'll mind. See, New Life every day. Good seeing you as well. Like I said, Linda Hunter, talked to her. Joe E. Justin the Way. Good seeing you. But yeah, no, it was a great time. Great time with Mike. Sweetie was on here. Good talking to you, Sweetie. Good seeing you. I'll be seeing you in a second. I'm not doing no backflips. I don't know if that was on here. Neff, you didn't hear him talking about me doing the backflip, but you haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. You'll see big guy do backflips. You know, Maria DeJarnes.
Could you do backflips with shoulder pads on and the whole outfit on?
Have I tried with a? No, I've never tried.
Never
with
did that.
Fast. No, I did. I did one time. I did, and I almost didn't make it over. I made it over, but you know how you make it? You like on your feet. You dip a little bit. That's what I did. What I could do is standing backflip like in the air and just like be on my feet.
Man,
I tell you, man, bad boy.
nuts, man.
I'm trying to tell you, bad boy right there, Marcus. Deep pick. Good seeing you, my brother. Teron Young was in here as well. Listen, you all, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it so much for y'all sticking with us. I'm glad y'all enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much. We can't do it without you. Y'all give us a like and all those different things up there. And, it all, we try to make it stay moving, keep it going in the right direction. Big guy got skills. Yes, he does. Yes, he does, Neff. He sure does. So, listen, y'all take care. Autodidactic professor. Oh, it was in there earlier. Good seeing you, talking to you. But listen, y'all take care. Listen, we love y'all. All right, y'all enjoy yourself for the weekend. Unless something comes up, Marcus, we won't see him until next week, right? Unless something comes up.
Until Monday, unless something comes up. Yep.
Unless something comes up. So we're going to miss you. We're going to miss you, okay? Y'all enjoy yourself. We're going to be thinking about y'all on Friday. If we don't get to talk to you and nothing comes up, let you know that we care about you. We love you. We are right there with you in spirit. Y'all take care. God bless. We will talk to y'all. We'll talk to y'all later. Love you, brother.
Love you too, brother.
Right. Have a good night.
Love you guys. Have a good weekend, everybody. Stay safe. We'll see you Monday night. Love you, everybody.
Love you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.